Holy frickin' crap, everybody. Surprise, surprise. We're back here again with another Mackcast. You didn't think it was going to happen, Trainee.
You say another Mackcast. I feel like we should have to reintroduce ourselves. It's the Mackcast because nobody has any idea who we are because we took 8 months off, dude.
8 months? What are you talking about? It's only been 3 weeks.
Who are you podcasting with without me that it's only been 3 weeks? Where's all this audio going?
I don't know, man. You got to check the Mac calendar for that one. I told you to keep up on that Mac calendar, but I don't know, dude. You got to check with the dates. But we have a very busy schedule on the Mac calendar, and it's tough to fit that Maccast in there. You know what I'm saying, brother? It's vigorous.
Vigorous. It is a little tough to fit the Maccast in there, but we did it tonight, Mac. We did it finally after all that time. Are you excited?
I am. You're damn right. You can hear it in my voice, and if you could see it, you would see it in my eyes because we got a special guest here. It's not going to just be me and Trainee bullshitting here in the Mac gym because that's where it's being held here. Special memberships coming out next month.
It's like a Mac gym / Mac editing studio / the room where you just put all the stuff that doesn't fit in the rest of your house.
/ second room in the house. In the Mac mansion, of course. It's very big. The living room's huge. But I know that's your job, Cheney. Would you forget? It's been that long.
It has been a while.
But first, we got to get some Mac news out of the way. Everyone knows we've been hitting the ring very hard every single weekend. Tell them, Cheney.
Yes, we have, and we've got some upcoming shows soon. Mac, do you have any idea when those shows are?
That's on you, dude. You're the one who's supposed to check the Mac schedule. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I just don't understand why.
All right, but that hero was saying that we defeated a few people. We're in the Showcase Tag Team. No, we're in the Brick House House of Bricks Tag Team Championship tournament. Yeah, and we defeated a few enemies.
We demolished them.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm here to talk about.
Yeah, in the tournament so far, we've defeated Rob Marsh and Sully Banger. The Sully Bangers. I don't know. They didn't have a tag name. And then
I don't think they were an official tag team. I think they were just two guys thrown together for the night.
And then I'm pretty sure that we also beat Donnie Rotten and Everett Briggs. I believe they're the Rotten Examples, which they actually have a tag name.
You should be very sure on that one because that actually happened. Lifted them up for the French waffle press, and it was over, brother. You know what I mean? It was pretty sweet. And we're working on it. The technical difficulties, there were certain technical difficulties in the Mac Studios, but expect a brand new The Monster Mac show.
Yes.
For season 3. Yeah, it's episode something. I don't know. It's up there. When does the season end? You know what I mean? Was that the end? Is that why it's been so long? Did the season end and not even realize it?
I don't think so. No.
How was the season finale?
Pretty good. It was one of the best episodes.
Yeah, it's good. Damn. Well, people, we got season 4 coming your way soon. The Monster Mac show. I don't know if that's true or not, but it could happen. But yeah, expect, we found old footage. MonsterMac.net. Check it out. That's a still official website, right?
Still to this day.
All right, because, these trainees have been slacking. I've been busy doing wrestling shows, me and you. We got other guys on the team, you know what I mean? Supposed to give us the info, but...
Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've been hitting the French wine, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. But, Trainee, the Monster Mac show, we found some old footage campaign, an old Monster Mac campaign.
Don't give that info away. You got to wait to watch the episode, dude. Yeah.
A sneak peek, Trainee.
Preek is still not a word after all these years. All right, Mac. I think that's enough Mac news, yeah, because there's not really... MonsterMac.net is our Mac news. Go to our website. And check out podbean.com/MonsterMacPodcast or themaccast.com. And obviously for all your podcast needs. By all of them, I mean all of them.
NewRepublicPrinting.com. Are we still promoting them?
And they are no longer our sponsors. That was a free plug for them. Get your t-shirts through them. But tonight, Mac, we're having, you like you said, you're drinking the French wine. We're having a little bit of a celebration because we finally made this happen, buddy. After all this time, we've been talking about doing a podcast for at least a year. Maybe longer.
Yeah, at least a year.
So, but we finally made it happen. Buddy Romano in the house, folks. I'm going to call you Buddy. I know maybe you're not wearing the wig. No, Ramona.
But Buddy's fine.
Buddy's fine. Buddy
Yeah,
works. All right.
absolutely.
Plus you call anybody Buddy. You know what I mean? What's up, Buddy? I do it all the time. Just a random.
That's
little,
why I think
"Hey,
everyone's
high five,
talking
buddy."
to me.
Yeah,
What's up, buddy?
It's like, hey, what's up?
That must be very confusing. Everyone's usually like, "Hey, it's Monster Mac. How's it going?"
Nobody gets called Monster Mac randomly on the streets.
No. We're very excited to have you in the Mac gym. Thank you for coming down. I
appreciate it, guys. Like you said, it's been a long time coming, and finally we've done it. You know.
Yeah, finally made it.
Fill him in on Buddy Romano a little bit, Trini.
I think that's why Buddy's here, right? Is to fill people in on Buddy Romano, right? But you guys are sitting in the Mac gym portion of the studio because you're on where the padded
where the
floor
mat is, yes.
Yeah, and I'm over here in the editing studio because I'm on the carpet near the computer. Just want to point that out to everybody. So, Buddy, see everybody, Buddy. It just
Buddy.
Yeah, it's just all over the place. That'll be the drinking game when we say Buddy. We have to take a swig
Let's
or two.
do it.
Yeah, some French wine. What are you pointing at?
The Mac computer. It's shut off.
It's fine. It's still going. We're good. But
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, we tried to have we started this a second ago, and then something went funky on the computer. But I think we're good to go now. We're rocking and rolling. Have you always been a wrestling fan?
Yes.
How far back does that go? Childhood?
From what I hear, at 3 years old, I was a huge wrestling fan. My mother actually tells me a story about one time I actually threw a fit in Toys R Us because I couldn't get one of the LJN figures. So I would say probably 3 years old, I started watching wrestling. Both my brother and I were huge wrestling fans. My earliest memories I can recall probably, British Bulldogs.
Okay. That's who, like, in your brain when you think of wrestling at your childhood,
Yeah,
you go back to
like
the Bulldogs.
the British Bulldogs Heart Foundation. That's my earliest memories of wrestling. And obviously back then you had Savage, you had Hogan, all those greats. And, it's just one of those things that some people grow out of it. Yeah. And, I just never did. Just never did.
Hulkamaniac? I have to ask.
I was never a Hulkamaniac.
Never a Hulkamaniac.
I was.
You didn't say your prayers and eat your vitamins?
No, I actually was not the biggest Hogan fan. I was more of a Warrior fan myself.
Warrior,
yeah.
I see. I was going to say it might have been much.
You know,
There's the teams, right? There's Team Savage, Team Hogan, and Team Warrior.
yeah. You know what it is? When I was a kid, I always associated with tag teams that dressed and looked alike, and face paint.
Yeah, face paint was.
So I was always a huge
Juggalo?
Road Warriors fan too.
Juggalo.
Yeah, Juggalo.
They're a tag team, right?
Yeah.
They tag. They wear face
Yeah.
paint. Right up your alley. You should check
Right up
out
my alley.
JCW.
I was thinking more Demolition on that
okay.
one. We seen him. We seen him recently wrestling on a show with him.
Yeah, we did. The Demolition was at
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, "What up, Monster Mac?"
That's not what happened, but he did come up and they came up and introduced themselves to us, like when we showed up, which was weird.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's up? I'm Barry Daw. I'm like, I know who you are, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm me. You know.
Yeah, pretty sweet. But so into wrestling at an early age. I'd say Demolition was probably like my first memory besides Hogan and stuff. Definitely a big Hulkamaniac. But there's no beef here at the Mac Studios, so no problems. So when would you say that you thought that, like, this is something you might want to be interested in doing?
As a kid, you always kind of imagine that, like, you can do anything, which I'm not, to any kids out there, I'm not saying you can't do anything you want to do, but, like, at an early age, too, I even said, like, oh, I want to be a wrestler, like, that's what I want to do.
In the yearbook. Was it in your yearbook?
It wasn't in my yearbook. No.
It was in mine.
I don't even have a yearbook. Like, you have to actually go to photo day for that to work out.
Like when I was a kid, like I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. That was the life dream, and I'm living it, brother.
See that? You know, we're living the dream.
Yeah, it's a great dream.
So it's sometimes a nightmare.
Right, of course.
Living the nightmare.
But so you said you thought about it as a kid, always.
Oh yeah. As a young kid, like I think I even tossed around my uncle was a cop too, so I always wanted to be a cop too. It was like, oh, I'm either gonna be a wrestler or a cop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Two very different.
Yeah, exactly. Two different ends of the coin. You know what I mean? Two different sides of the coin, I should say. But yeah, no. Even at an early age, I always wanted to be a wrestler, and you know, I mean, I just never knew how until obviously you get older and
right, yeah. Now, before the Mack cast, we were talking a little bit, and you were talking about Drew Cordero and like the backyard stuff that he was doing back then.
Yes.
Now, like you were involved in that, or
yes,
is that when you first started like getting into it, or did you
that's
have
what
some
I mean,
training before that?
I did some backyard stupid stuff as a kid with like one or two neighborhood friends or whatever.
Yeah. Now by backyard stupid stuff, do you mean like light tubes and stuff like that?
No.
Okay, because that's like to me, that's the backyard stupid stuff.
No,
you're out there just trying to grapple. You're just a kid playing around.
This is like neighborhood kids either wrestling each other or wrestling our teddy bears.
Okay,
you know what I mean? It's stupid stuff like that. But it wasn't until I was actually 11 years old and there was a local public access show in Rhode Island called USWF, and it was actually based out of Warwick, Rhode Island, which is where I'm from. And they had a hotline. I ended up calling the hotline, and
hell yeah,
you gotta love the old school hotlines.
I love public access.
You gotta love it. How can you not love public access? Come on.
I always stop wherever I am. If I'm ever in somebody's house and one of the lady friends, and I stop by the public access channel, I always stop and just pray that something wacky's on in public access.
You'll never know you never know what's going to pop up on public access.
There's a chance, but it's always some old asshole talking about politics.
Yeah. Every now and then you get disappointed.
Yeah, you're just like, damn, what is this about?
But I like I said, I called the hotline, I got the information, I went down to one of their shows, and I was tiny. I was like a little 11-year-old. Like, I was fucking scrawny. And I remember, like, they remembered me from the hotline, and they were, like, busting my chops and whatnot. And eventually, I ended up becoming friends with them, got involved with them. After a few years, it moved to different locations. Eventually, it got to East Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And eventually, I met Drew Cordero and Scotty Slade. Who both of them actually went to school together.
Yep.
And they started wrestling for this backyard promotion. And, we had a lot of fun and everything. But even back then, you could see, Drew Cordero was arrogant. They both him and Scotty Slade went to private schools.
Okay.
And Scotty, not so much.
The Mack Training School is a private school too, so I can't hate too much.
Oh, you can't hate too much.
Can't hate too much. He doesn't make me wear the ties and stuff though. So
right,
I can see how that might drive somebody mad.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, no. Drew just seemed like an arrogant person. He could be funny at times, and we did get along at times. But a story I will share with you.
Is this like a high school story?
This is I was like 19 when I met Drew.
Okay, so a little bit.
Yeah, and he was 17 at the time. I believe he was 17 at the time.
So pre-adulthood, but not like.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Still teenage,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember I was organizing. I think it was like a pickup baseball game. Like I had a lot of mutual friends, and I was doing it the same day that he was throwing one of his wrestling shows, because he did another thing in his backyard too. He promoted another wrestling show for.
No, was there a ring?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there were rings. There were rings in both promotions.
Okay.
I guess you
Yeah.
can call them what they were.
Right.
But
it was like a ring set up outside and like.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The USWF ring was actually more. It was like a boxing ring.
Okay.
But it just like it had
gimmicked up to have a little more give than.
It had no spring to it whatsoever. It was just a bunch of padding.
Yeah.
I think Drew's ring was basically just mattresses and like poles in the ground.
But like built himself.
Yeah. That whole type of thing. And
I'm just trying to get the image in my head.
Yeah. No. Believe me. I mean, anything you want to pull out of me, you can pull out of me. Any type of detail, I'm all for it. But I remember I was hosting this pickup baseball game, and he had a lot of our same friends. Like he booked them. I guess you could say, quote unquote, booked them for this backyard show that he was doing that same day. And he purposely wasted time to
run over into the baseball game.
Yeah, because I kept calling him. I'm like, when are these guys going to be available? I'm
Right,
like,
what's going on?
Like, we only have like fucking 5 people here. We can't play fucking
Like,
baseball.
this is the worst baseball game ever.
Yeah, exactly. So like, he's like, oh no, we'll be done in this time or whatever. And supposedly, from what I heard from friends, he laughed about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking, I'm ruining his fucking baseball game or whatnot. So, I mean, at 19 years old, you blow up about stupid stuff.
Right, and I was just gonna say the same thing about, like, I remember being, like, a young kid involved with, like, backyard wrestling, taking it, like, super serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you're young and you're just like, no, they gotta be here for this show. Or, you know what I mean? Anything like that. And it's just kind of funny that the older you get, you look back on it, and like you said, you tell it's funny, you know what I mean?
It's a funny story, but looking back on it, it's like, why
was I so mad?
Yeah.
Like, what is there really to be so pissed about?
So what happened was, the baseball game never went down. I got pissed.
A good game of catch in there, at least?
Yeah,
or?
I think we played, a little bit of catch or whatever. That's about it. But I was all jerked off about the whole fucking thing.
Right.
You know, so we were actually in East Providence at the time, where his parents lived, and I actually drove to his fucking house and confronted him, and he wanted to be a fucking wise ass to me. So I went in my trunk and I fucking got my baseball bat.
A baseball bat.
And
God damn.
Exactly.
He was just playing baseball.
And
metal or wooden?
It was aluminum.
It's a fact.
It was aluminum.
Damn,
yes.
that's the heavy shit.
And I chased him into his house, and from what I heard, he called the cops, and a lot of my friends said, get the fuck out of here before the cops come. But, that's just the type of person he's arrogant until you confront him, and if you stand up to him, he will show you that he's kind of a puss. You know what I mean?
I gotta draw the line, Buddy, and just say that the opinions of Buddy Romano are his opinions and not the opinions of Monster Mack.
No, it doesn't reflect on you guys. I'll take the heat for all of this.
Solid use of the word puss, though.
Exactly. You know, and fast forward a couple years later, actually many years later.
I was gonna say, I feel like this, just even the way you spoke about it, it carried over into adulthood.
Yeah, well,
this personal beef.
We settled it. We were fine afterwards. But I knew what he was. He knew what I was. You know, I knew that he was an arrogant little prick. He knew I was kind of like a crazy fucking off-base fucking motherfucker. I'm not the most level guy in the world, you know, I will admit that.
Occasionally act irrationally.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Am I proud of it? Absolutely not, but, you know, it happens at times.
But you're owning it at least, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I calm down with certain situations, I will be the first one to apologize to people, and own my crime, if you will.
Yeah.
But fast forwarding years later, this goes back to the Chikara match in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Okay, that's
quite a few years later.
Now, I'm trying to remember who was in the match. It was the Minutemen, the Hoods, and
JT Dunn,
and you, Todd Sopel.
Okay, so here was my team. It was myself, Todd Sopel.
Was Turtle in that match? No, Turtle was doing commentary.
He was doing commentary.
Okay.
Triplicious and the Minutemen.
Okay,
and we worked with Amber. The Hoods, Doug Summers, and JT Dunn.
Okay, so I knew most of the people in the match, just not which team they were on.
Yeah, no, you had the right idea. You had the right idea. I had to actually think about it for a minute too, because my memory isn't so good anymore. But fast forward to that match, we had worked that match, and we'll delve into that match a little bit later on, but we had worked that match, and Drew Cordero was actually in attendance.
Okay.
And he actually showed up to an NCW show, I think, a month or two after that. And this was in Rumford, so it was his hometown. So he showed up just to watch the show. There was like fucking 12 people in the audience.
Now, is this when Beyond was running up here, or were they still like down in like Ohio or whatever it was?
He had just moved back up here.
Okay, so they hadn't
established themselves up here. So he watches the show and everything, and I believe Doug and I had I'm almost positive Doug and I had worked that show, Doug Summers and I. I might have been part of the Best of 7 series that we did.
Okay.
And Drew, after the show, came up to me. He was like, "Oh man, that was great what you guys did. I think I saw you and Doug work with each other at the Chikara show, and you guys looked like you had the most chemistry out of everyone. I said, well, yeah, that's because we've been working a ton of time since I've started.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'd like to, I'm getting the Beyond thing going. I'd like to get you guys booked. So I'm like, all right, just be in contact with me. That's fine. I'm down to do it. Eventually we did one of those, secret show. It wasn't even a secret show at that time. They didn't even do the secret shows. It was held in the, New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
The building.
I feel like they had a name for him, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. It
was one of those like, where they did it like all day on like Saturday and Sundays.
Right.
And, I remember, I had worked another show that weekend. That show was going to be my second show of the weekend. That was going to be Doug's third show of that weekend. Yeah. So first of all, it was just, everything started late. There was 9 million matches.
You're there all day and stuff.
Yeah, it was, we were there all day. Finally, it got to be like fucking 8 o'clock at night. I have work in the morning. Doug has work in the morning.
Yeah.
We have a 2.5 hour drive, back to where we live. So it was kind of like, okay, can we, I know you still have like 10 more fucking matches to do tonight. But can we go? And he was kind of like jerked. You could tell he was kind of jerked off about it.
Like why are you telling me when to?
Well, he was kind of adamant about like, oh, everyone needs to stay until everyone works because it's disrespectful. But when other people have different things to do in their lives, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
We can't sit around all fucking day. I mean, we were there for like fucking 8 hours at that fucking point.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like the fucking longest show in history. But, after that,
that should be the name of the next show, the next Beyond show. Beyond.
The longest show in history?
They have the funny names.
Yeah.
They always do the funny names, the longest show in history.
The longest show in history.
Because goddamn it, those shows are long.
There you go, Drew. You just pitched your next fucking idea.
Make it all pretty and stuff. Everybody's posters look the same. I don't know when that happens.
Yeah, I can't.
I feel like the last 2 years, everybody's posters look exactly the same.
Yeah, I can't tell different companies apart now.
Is that a 17 matches on that card?
Yeah, man, any card. I mean, really, man. No hate, just goddamn it, those shows are long, and I end up sitting down somewhere because there's no chairs.
You got to take a fucking nap. I mean, what the fuck? But yeah. So after that, we never got booked again. And I remember when Drew started up the whole FET thing, and it was
but before they started doing the FET stuff, they were running in where was it? I don't know. I seen the Super Smash Brothers. Wrestled JT and
was that the East Greenwich?
No, it was some VFW hall, I think, or where the hell was it? I don't know. Either way, I went to one of those shows. It was before the Hoods were booked and stuff because I went with the Hoods to the show to watch, and JT and St. Giovanni, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
that person's name.
Yeah.
They wrestled the Super Smash Brothers, and I like the Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But I went to go to the show and they were still doing the no chairs thing, but it's like a VFW hall, and there was only 40 people there. Yeah. So I just pulled a chair up and sat in the back of the room, but they did shows there that were not great. They didn't draw very well, but I feel like the FET shows they hit their groove.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, they appealed to a cult following, which is fine, but we know what happens with cult followings. Just look at fucking ECW.
Right.
Eventually,
I loved ECW, but they do not exist anymore.
Exactly. So, I think you know where I'm going with this.
Right,
Eventually the cult following fizzles out, and you have to appeal to many different demographics,
like a broad audience. You're saying.
Exactly. So that's just my opinion.
Right.
I think the whole Beyond fad is gonna fizzle out. Eventually, it may not be 2 years, and maybe 5 years from now.
Do you feel like that's your personal feelings about Drew, or the style of wrestling?
Just
because, don't get me wrong, I the first couple of years of Ring of Honor, the first 2 years or 3 years of ROH, I love that shit. We were at probably 20 out of the first 25 shows of ROH. We were traveling, we were going all over the place.
We went to the first anniversary.
Yeah, the ROH one. I love that stuff, but now, I don't want to, that's not really too appealing to me anymore, that style. Well, because I feel like I've seen it all already.
And that's the thing. And I think ROH has changed up their stuff a little bit. I just think if you do the same stuff and you try to appeal to the same audience over and over and over and over again, eventually people get bored with it. And,
right.
And it's just like, okay, I've seen this a million fucking times. Why am I gonna pay a ticket to go and watch this? And I'm not saying wrestling in general, will go that way. I just think the whole obsession with Beyond Wrestling and these marks that fucking just go home and jerk off all over themselves for this fucking product, I think eventually it's just going to fizzle out. And I think if Beyond wants to stick around, they need to do stuff that appeals to everyone, not just that audience. They need to change things up. Change is good.
Now, you're saying go a little more family friendly, or what do you?
I'm not saying they have to change their style altogether, but yeah, throw in some fucking gimmicks in there. Throw in some stuff that'll be family friendly. You know what I mean? That'll appeal to everyone. You see a lot of these people in the audience. They're all like teenagers and people in their 20s.
Now, I'm going to defend that side for sure. Like, in the conversation, like I think differently now. But when I was 19. Or even when I was like 13 and going to ECW shows, I didn't want to see kids at those shows. I didn't want to see families together at the show. I wanted to see that niche, you know, that niche,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But now, as older, I understand a lot more about different styles. You know what I mean? Like appealing to a broader audience.
Absolutely,
sure.
and it comes
but at that age, I would have, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
exactly, and it's maturing. It's evolving as a person, as a person, not a person, I should say. You know, and that's just.
But I could see why those fans wouldn't want the product to change.
Oh yeah, but those same fans, like I'm saying, and I could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong.
Right,
but,
yeah, man.
But those same fans, I believe in my mind, are eventually going to get to the point where they say, fuck it, we've seen this shit a million fucking times. Like, why are we even coming to this? Like, if you make stuff new, you know, something fresh, like you're gonna have, okay, that's different. Like, I kind of like that. Like, it's not what I'm used to seeing, but no, I'm gonna see how this pans out.
Does this hatred stem back to that baseball game?
No, the hatred. I mean, because like I said, we settled things. Everything was fine. It's just like, he was arrogant back then. Now, fast forward years later, he's a promoter, and he's getting all this attention, which that's fine. Like, good for him.
Right, yeah.
That's good for him.
But to you feel like it's probably inflating the ego more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You look at his fucking cover photo for his Facebook page.
Oh, I don't even know what it is.
It's fucking. Last time I checked, it was fucking Vince McMahon. He thinks he's the modern day Vince McMahon. He also thinks he's Paul Heyman, which he actually kind of is Paul Heyman because
with the niche
because he's fat and he still lives at home with his mother.
Is he bald with a ponytail?
I think he does have a ponytail, doesn't he?
Oh, I wish he would be bald. I have no idea. I haven't seen Jude Cordero in forever.
Yeah, no, I think he still does sport the ponytail.
Once again, all Buddy Romano's opinions, and not Romano's
all mine. I own up to it.
Only thing I have to say to you, Drew Cordero, is delicious grilled cheese sandwiches.
That's true. I can't lie.
And you know what? Maybe
they were great.
And you know what? He's smart. I will admit he's smart, because eventually, maybe when his company goes out of business, he will have a business in the grilled cheese sandwich industry.
Gotcha. He's got something to fall back on.
You know what I mean? So that's good. It's good to have a backup plan. But
damn.
God, you're destroying stuff in here.
I think we're still good to go. The podcast equipment fell.
All right, good.
Keep rocking.
But
there's many other trainees in the Mack gym right now, pumping some iron and some. That's where all the technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, they're trying to get
from.
fit. They're trying to get into shape. You know, I mean, these guys are looking good.
So we're gonna change motions here. I think there was enough.
Hold up one second.
One last Drew Cordero.
I got.
Let him get his point out.
I got one last point to make. So eventually it got to the point where he wasn't using us, and you know, when he started running in Providence. Now I'm from
talking about you and Doug, right? Because we kind of went real off track there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he wasn't booking us or whatever, and that's fine. You know, I'm fine with that. Now he moves to Providence. He has the whole fat thing going. I see a lot of these shows, and I say, I always say to myself, if you have a local guy on the card, that guy could sell tickets. He could bring his friends, his family.
Right, yeah.
You know, the promoter makes money.
Right.
All right. It's just good business. And, I used to tell him, I said, you know, obviously I'm only like, you know, 15, 20 minutes away from the building.
Yeah.
You know, I could sell tickets for you, blah, 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 blah. You know, if you ever have a spot open, he would ignore me. He would ignore my messages, never get back to me, never get back to me. So finally I confronted him. You know, I run into him a few times and he was like, hey, how you doing or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know, never questioned it or whatever. So finally I sent him a message one day and I'm like, are you just not a fan of my work? I'm like, I've offered, you know, if you ever need anybody a spot, you know, I'm like, I would just appreciate a message back. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to use me, but I would appreciate
just let me know what's up.
The acknowledgement. You know what I mean? That I'm not just some fucking piece of shit that you just choose to ignore. And he wrote back with, why the fuck would I book you when you don't show up to the TV tapings? And I'm like, I thought I already explained this to you. Like, my schedule at work had changed, and I was not able to make those long drives, those 2.5 hour drives to work for nothing, and sit there for fucking 10 to 12 hours, to watch the entire fucking show. And he's like, well, you don't show up to the tapings, I'm not gonna fucking book you. Like, I don't care who you are. And I'm like, okay, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I get the fucking point. You're a fucking piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like that's fine. There was really never any, altercations between us. Never, any encounters. I remember I saw him at FanFest a few years ago. He had his fucking Beyond table set up. I had my table. I was actually next to Daphne, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
And I happened to walk over there just to say hi, and hey Drew, how's it going? And he just kind of fucking shook my hand. I was like, how's it going? You know, like I was a fucking piece of shit.
You guys didn't know each other at all.
And he had no fucking time for me. So I was like, okay, motherfucker, like that's fine. Like, I'm fucking done with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've seen some of the stuff, like some of the Beyond stuff. I don't personally agree with it. Like a lot of the stuff on there is like, okay, like the finish of the match should be a gun to the fucking head, because there's so much done in the fucking match that if you want to finish your opponent off, you literally have to pull out a gun and shoot him in the fucking head. And I, no disrespect to Brian Fury, I love Brian Fury. I think he's a hell of a fucking worker, but I saw a clip on Facebook recently where he worked with somebody and took a fucking roundhouse kick to the fucking face that looked like death, and then immediately took a German suplex and then fucking kicked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that? First of all, that roundhouse kick should have been the fucking finish of the match, because it looked like fucking death.
Right.
All right? Never mind the German suplex. At
that point, Bruce Lee like spin kick to the face.
Done. If anybody kicks me in the face like that and I fucking fall down, I don't care what the fucking finish is of the match.
It's done, dog.
It's done. I'm fucking laying down. I'll change the finish of the match. I don't care. Like, that's just because like at that point, how is it believable?
How do you top that?
How do you top that? And it just goes back to that cult following where people are just like, oh, I want to see more. I want to see fucking people die. You know what I mean? You want to see someone die? Somebody bring a fucking knife to the fucking arena then and just stab someone to death at that point.
Yeah, man. Like I said, when I was younger, for sure, like you wanted more and more. Like ECW shows, I went to the Big Armory, like as a 13-year-old kid watching the shows here and stuff like that, and I wanted more and more. You know what I mean? Like, you wanted to see some crazy stuff, but it eventually leads to the point where like what else can I really see?
How can you top that?
Right. And like I feel like I've gone full circle, went from being like a little marky kid that loved all the top guys to being like, you know, that smarter than everybody, I know what's good for wrestling fan with ECW and ROH and all that. Now I'm back around. I'm like, I love John Cena. John Cena's so good. Like,
I mean, fucking
so good. Cena's the man, and I don't care what anybody says.
And you know what? Cena is smart because he sells the most merchandise. He has the most power in the company. He's the face of the company, and he has like fucking 5 moves that he does.
Yeah.
He works fucking smart.
And, dude, he wrestled, and he, like, there was like that, I think it was last year, but he was wrestling that, like, United States Open Challenge. He was wrestling all the new guys and stuff. He was out there killing it with all the new guys, too. They're having dope matches. And like you said, Cena did 5 moves.
Yeah.
Maybe 6.
He has them 5 or 6 moves, but he will hit you with a surprise move every pay-per-view So you got to give him that. You'll see a random Hurricane Rana.
Oh yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds
He'll
of
break it out
random-
when
Code
he
Red,
when
yeah,
he
John
needs
Cena,
to,
Code
when the
Red.
time is right, when he needs to.
So do you feel like wrestling is changing? Because like, especially right now, Kevin Owens is on top, Dean Ambrose is on top. I've seen Dean Ambrose take a sawzall to the goddamn forehead. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like wrestling is moving towards that over-the-top, ridiculous style till they don't want to see that same stuff anymore and it's going to revert back? Or
I think the guys that they have on top right now are guys that should be on top because
Okay,
those
cool.
are those are guys who have paid their dues. Some of the guys
Can I grab another one of those?
absolutely.
Thank you.
I've met I've met Seth Rollins before. I've met Kevin Steen. Couple. I mean, they're nice guys,
Right.
You know what I mean, and they've worked hard over the years. So I think they should be on top. And if you look at what they do now, like I don't watch much of the product anymore, but a lot of that stuff, like I don't think they do a lot of that crazy stuff on WWE television. I think it's more of the fucking independents.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is one of the reasons why I kind of walked away a little bit because it's just this business is kind of frustrating, and I don't agree with, especially on the independents, the direction that it's going in, and it's been going that way for quite a few years now. So I don't know. That's just the way I feel. That's my opinion.
I've always known you for a while, and we've been doing it for like over 10 years now. Eventually, the price becomes hard to pay, I would say, for your body. How long's it been? Let's go back all the way back to your first match. Let's get into Buddy Romano a little bit, and who was?
What are you doing? Why do you keep changing the subjects and stuff? Like, we're in the middle of conversations. No, you need to cut it out. That's what you need to do. Stop.
All right, so
No,
back
that's
to,
fine. We can dial it back. We can go back to the evolution of Buddy
we were
Romano.
talking about WWE.
I went to go grab my phone real quick, and I come back, and it's Master Max yelling about, tell me about your first match. You got a time restraint? You got somewhere to go? We can't rant about WWE a little bit?
I don't have any time restraints. I just don't want to bash what's his name anymore or talk about WWE. I wanna know
we'll go
about
over
Buddy
that.
Romano. That's what I'm here for, baby. So let's go back to your first match. Let's jump in that Monster Mac time machine all the way back to it.
well,
the
let's-
first match. Do you remember it?
Well,
very
let's go back
You're not gonna be allowed
to
to drink wine anymore.
let's go back to the training. Let's go back to the training.
Let's go back to that.
Let's delve into that. So, when I was 19, I actually started. You guys may not know this. I actually started training with Matt Storm and a guy by the name of Vinny Ratty, who went as Draven.
Okay, yeah, I know him by Draven.
In New England. Yes. So I started with them.
Was that the Mayhem School? What was the name of that? I feel like they had a name for that school.
I know, it was at the Loomis Barn. I know that.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the Mayhem.
I got to
School.
do like a podcast with Matt Storm sometime soon. We've talked about it in the past. I feel like
Matt's a great guy. I love Matt.
we're just talking about nerdy stuff most of the time. But
Yeah,
like,
I actually just saw Matt at DC Dillage's funeral service. What was it, last week or the week before?
Now I get the Storm brothers confused. Which one's Matt? And which one's Kyle?
Matt is the heavier one with long
Okay,
hair.
now Matt
Kyle is
Matt is the guy that he's so tall and muscular that I leapfrogged right over him, and the distance of the leapfrog was so heavy that when I came back on, I tore my ACL. My ACL wouldn't.
Did you really?
That's a true story right there.
tore his ACL on a match we had against Matt and Redemption.
holy shit.
Yeah, yeah, and then
I had no idea.
he still did a lion salt from the bottom rope. It was pretty impressive.
Well, that and
The situation was perfect. The way he was lined up in the ropes, I had to do it. So
Well,
it wasn't smart though. I landed on my head. It didn't turn out well.
that we'll delve into that too. That goes back to the whole thing where as workers we kind of just get through what we need to get through, and we work injured sometimes
Yeah,
too.
and then Brickhouse booked me in a tag match with my ACL all messed up before I had surgery and everything.
You don't blame Brickhouse for that.
Did you work the match?
He did. He worked the match with a torn ACL.
Good for you.
And no, I tried to politic to get Chris Cruz to tag with me, and you not wrestle at all. And you were like, no, I'm gonna wrestle for Brickhouse with your torn ass ACL.
It's true, but we got the Flapjack Bulldog.
Shut up.
Kudos to you, my friend.
Yeah,
Kudos
it's
to you.
crazy.
I appreciate that. I respect that too. But
You really shouldn't. You really shouldn't.
Dumb idea.
Well, I mean, this will lead up to my injury conversation later on. So it's good. I respect that. But going back to the training and everything, so I trained with Matt Storm and Vinny Ratty for about on and off for about 6 months or so, because there were weeks where they couldn't make it because it was kind of a long drive for them, a long drive for myself as well. Yeah. So there were times, it was during the winter time too, so it was tough to really, especially when you're holding training in a barn.
Right, yeah, that's
it was tough to really get training every week, so it was on and off for 6 months. But eventually they closed up because they were relocating. Actually, to answer your question, I think that's when they ended up opening the Mayhem Gym.
Okay.
So I think this is prior to the Mayhem Gym. So, Matt had told me, he goes, I know this guy, Bob Evans, go train with him. He has a school right now. And I was like, I'm 19 years old. I'm comfortable with you. I don't know if I want to go, train with somebody else. So, this is me being young and immature, so I stopped wrestling. I stopped training.
Yeah.
Fast forward to when I'm about 23, 24 years old. I believe I was 24.
So you just stopped altogether?
I just stopped altogether. I lived my life. I went to, went to school, party, did what I had to do. Just being young. Got that out of the way. And then I was about 24 years old, and I just decided, I'm like, I want to give this another shot. My friend Kevin, I had talked to my friend Kevin and I, who, he also did backyard wrestling with me back in the day. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And he didn't have the money at the time, so he was like kind of putting me off, and he's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it on my own. I don't do it now. I'm never going to do it. So, I went in there on my own, and found out all the information and went to train with Bob at Slam Tech. So this is 5 years after Matt had told me go see Bob.
So it's already been a minute.
Yeah. So it took me 5 years to finally fucking muster up the balls to go train with somebody else. And Bob was very welcoming. He was very polite over the phone. When I met him in person, he was very polite and everything. So I started training with Bob in July of 2008. I struggled. I was not good at all.
Not too much memory.
No. The bumping was fine because I remember, everything from when I trained with Matt. The bumping and stuff was fine. It was just like the psychology. And Bob was the type of guy too, Bob, I think everyone was waiting. Well, some of the newer guys, the more experienced guys, like the Nick Westgates, the Congos, the Sid Reeves.
Who was there when you?
When I showed up, the classes were a guy by the name of Anthony Pacito. I don't know if you remember him. He used to tag up with Johnny Idol a lot. They were I believe they were the Coolers.
Okay, I feel like it sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, which I actually ran into Anthony a couple months ago. He's doing very well for himself after the business. But Anthony, Robbie Arujo, Sid Reeves, Rocco Abruzzi. You had Owen Gratian, Nick Westgate, Congo, Dan Freitas. Oh God, who else is?
Was Venom still running the class?
Venom was not running the class at that time. He had already had moved on.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm trying to. Everyone else who was there kind of escapes. Oh, Turtle was there, but Turtle didn't train that often. So Turtle was there in spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember one time Turtle showed up for training and he had flip flops on, and Bob was like, "Oh, you're gonna come in and practice?" He's like, "I have flip flops on."
I'm wearing flip flops.
Why did you drive all this way just to show
flip flops?
Yeah.
All right. So before we go any further, this is going to be the middle of the podcast announcement. Steve the Turtle Weiner next week podcast right here on the Mackcast.
Really?
Yeah, next Friday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little. I want to talk a little bit about his dad and all that stuff because his dad did some stuff and he just passed recently, and I know.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know. Oh, you didn't know?
No, I had no idea. His father
passed. Yeah. And
oh my God, I have to give him a call and
we'll do a little memoriam thing for the beginning of the podcast, and he's going to tell some of the stories of his dad, and then we're going to get into the turtle stuff.
Oh, that's horrible. I feel terrible about that. I know him and his dad were close.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. But it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna want to come tell some stories.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
We've been trying to get the Turtle podcast as long as we've been trying to do the Buddy podcast.
Very entertaining.
So yeah, it's good. I think he's gonna bring some of his buddies from the Turtles in Time, which is his new staple. Him, Dick Lane, Curry Boy.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure who else is in that group, but
The Whack Pack.
right, yeah. They'll be here though. I think.
Yeah, good
join the
fan.
combo.
And like Steve's a great guy.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
and Steve's another guy who I met.
Entertaining and insane.
Steve, I met also with Backyard Wrestling back in 1996. So I've known Steve that long.
It is a small world, man. That's crazy. 20 years you've known Steve.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So he's a great guy. I love Steve. Always liked working with him. He was a lot of fun because Steve was limited in what he can do in the ring, so it always gave me the ability to think outside the box.
Gotcha.
So I always appreciated that. Don't ever look at somebody and say, oh, well, he can't do this or she can't do this, so, blah, 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 I can't work this match. Like, no, you adapt to that style.
Right, yeah.
And Steve always pushed me to where I could challenge myself. So I always appreciated that, and I always had fun working with him. But that's too bad about his father. That's really sad. But yeah, going back to, the Slam Tech thing, so I started training with them. So these are the guys I was hanging out with and stuff and getting to know. And I came along very, very slow. And we were running a lot of shows at the Wesley Armory at the time.
Okay,
and at that time, too, I was going...
Was that EPW?
EPW, yeah. Bob was running EPW. And I went to a lot of the shows to work security and whatnot.
Yeah, just be involved, right?
Just kind of pay my dues and stuff like that. And... we were doing a lot of shows at the Wesley Armory too, and I remember exactly. It was November 22nd, 2008, at the Wesley Armory. Ron Simmons was going to be there, and I was going to work security. And I had talked to Ron a little bit. I was still fucking, like nervous and stuff. And somebody had grabbed me, like they came down and they're like, "Buddy, you need to go upstairs. Bob wants to see you." So I go upstairs. I'm like, "Oh, you needed to see me?" He's like, "Yeah, we're short a guy. What do you have to wrestle?" I'm like, "Well, I just wear my shorts, my wrestling shoes, and fucking Under Armour, fucking underwear." You know,
right?
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "All right, who has gear for Buddy? You're gonna be working tonight." So I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah. So I ended up getting, I think, a singlet from Johnny Idol. It was like a red generic singlet.
Yeah.
And boots from Guy Alexander, and knee pads from somebody else. And I was I was fucking was super fat too at the time too. So I was super ashamed of my body. So I ended up wrestling the entire match in my t-shirt
with the shirt on and a singlet.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah. That match used to be on YouTube. It no longer exists.
Okay, who took it down? You?
No. I don't. I think it was uploaded by Taylor Hendricks, I want to say.
Okay, and she probably just wiped all.
She probably just wiped it out.
Deleted her account or whatever.
Yeah. So
whatever the deal.
But that match was actually a tag team match. It was Buddy Romano and Firecat.
Okay.
Versus Johnny Idol and Anthony Pacino. And it was like the longest fucking 8 to 10 minutes of my life.
Right.
But I got through it, and it was just one of those things where after that, like he started using me more. I think my second match was also at the Wesley Armory, and it was against Mike Bennett. That's still on YouTube if you want to go and
By
look
the way, you can still watch that match.
Yeah, you could still watch that match. You could see me super fat wearing fucking mustard yellow fucking tights.
Random gear, yeah.
Yeah.
And TNA star Mike Bennett.
Yes.
Before he was a TNA star.
And Mike's a great guy. Mike's one of those guys where him and Sid Reeves were two guys that now if you guys don't know who Sid Reeves is, he's about 5'9", 5'10", like 230 when he was working. This is I'm saying when he was working.
Yeah.
And he looked like a mini Brock Lesnar.
Okay,
almost.
so he's like a short, stocky. Like
he was very, very built, and both him and Mike Bennett, like you look at those two guys, and they're like, they're both good-looking guys in shape and everything, and you're thinking to yourself, these guys are going to be fucking dicks. Because they probably should be, because they're good-looking, they're in shape, they should be arrogant. Mike Bennett and Sid Reeves are two of the nicest fucking guys I've ever met in this business. Saw Mike recently, too, once again at DC Dillage's funeral.
So another person who sadly passed away recently.
Yeah, that was very sad too and unexpected. But to this day, Mike will come up to me and give me a big hug, ask me how I'm doing. Same thing with Maria, his wife. Yeah. Like, you talk about two people who deserve each other. Like, they're both great people, both very easy to talk to. Two people that probably should be full of themselves, but they're not.
Right.
But yeah, I digress. I'm getting
a little quick Mike Bennett story. I remember being young and training with Spike back in the day, and Bennett showing up to a class and me wrestling him in a training match, and him being adamant about me winning the training match.
Yeah,
which is just so funny to me. And now I just remember being like, I was young and stuff, and I was just remember that's so cool. Like, what a cool dude.
That's the way Mike is. That's the way Mike is. Like,
and then the last time I seen him, I made fun of his ponytail.
He still has it. Yeah,
still has it. I made fun of it. It was pretty funny.
He's loving the ponytail.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my first match, November 22nd, 2008. And then just kind of, little by little, more and more matches. And Bob, I would go to a lot of shows with Bob, and he would introduce me to different promoters and stuff. So that led me to a lot of connections. So therefore, down the line, I was able to work with different promoters.
Were you working for multiple promotions at that time?
No, at this time, so that was my first match and my only match of 2008. Going into 2009, I think I had only worked for Bob, North Shore Wrestling, which was Atlee Green and Shane Daly, Ryan Andrews. They were running a promotion at that time, which is where Todd Sopel runs now with Liberty States Wrestling. It was in the same building, same elementary school. I was working for them, and then eventually I started with NCW, I think in March of 2009. So those are really the only companies I was working for. But before we get off track, little known fact, I don't know if you guys know this.
I don't.
Do you know how the Buddy Romano name came into play? How I got that name?
Not at all. And it started just Buddy Romano? Is that the only name you went by?
That's how I got into the business, was Buddy Romano. So while I was training with Bob and traveling around to different places, he had a show in Vermont. I think it was White River Junction, Vermont, and we were promoting in New Hampshire. So we're going around with flyer and everywhere, and we stop at this restaurant. He goes, you gotta go to Louie Louie's. It's great. So we go there and we sit down. It's just him and I, and I'm looking at the menu, and I come across this sandwich. I can't tell you what was in it, but it was called the Buddy Romano.
Yeah.
It was called the Buddy Romano sandwich.
It must have been delicious.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it, but it must have been delicious. Yeah. Oh yeah. It had to have been delicious.
I thought you ordered it and it was so delicious.
You know what? Hindsight's 20/20. I should have, but I actually laughed to myself. I go, look at this. There's a sandwich called the Buddy Romano, and he looked up with wide eyes and he goes, "That's your name. That's your wrestling name, Buddy Romano." That's how I got the name Buddy Romano.
I can picture the Bob eyes, like the wide ass Bob eyes looking at you.
Yep. And that's where it all started, from a fucking sandwich.
It's pretty crazy how, Triplicious was on the podcast once, and he told us that he got his name from one of the video games, one of the WWF video games, somebody yelling, Triple H is Triplicious, and he heard that, and it stuck with him. Yeah.
That's how he
and
got
that's
that?
and that's how he got that name, and that kind of stuck with him, like in his head. Same thing with you, the sandwich kind of stuck with you. You know what I mean? It's pretty funny. People get their names. It's insane. He got his name from the Sir Mix-a-Lot song, I'm a Monster.
Yeah.
It's crazy where we get your names from.
I know. So and as soon as you hear it, it's almost like that's it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure that's exactly how you felt. Like it was like as soon as you heard it, like that's it. That's it.
Been many years as Monster Mack.
You don't even have your eyes open. He's drunk. This is ridiculous. I can hear the clanging of the glasses in the background. You are hammered. You said that I got many years as Monster Mack with your eyes closed and in slow motion.
You got me on that one.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you got the name. You and Bob were out for a lunch.
Yeah, for a luncheon.
Yeah. And so your buddy Romano. That was when you wrestled your first match. It was Buddy Romano already.
Buddy Romano,
so this was pre grappling.
Yeah.
So like while you were training and stuff.
Yeah.
So you start working other promotions. Who you said on NCW?
Yes.
And that really became your home eventually, right?
Yeah, and actually, I was Facebook friends with a lot of people at that time. Some people that I may have met once. Some people I
Right.
didn't meet at all. I just got involved with them because obviously it's a networking thing. You want to make friends with people. You want to get your name out there. You want to let yourself be known. And I remember I had met Doug Summers once. I had met him during one of the trainings, which Bob bitched me out to the point that I went home and I wanted to quit. And it took actually Mike Bennett and Guy Alexander messaging me
to tell you, like, hey man,
to tell me to stick with it. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's just tough love.
Right. Bob's just trying to help.
Yeah.
And he wasn't super positivity Bob then either, right?
No, he was, I think he was over the fact of trying to train people, and I think he wanted to branch out and do things on his own.
Yeah.
Cause for years he had kind of put his career on the back burner.
To help
others. And I think, he had just gotten to the point where like, he's like, I'm kind of over this and I want to do something for myself. So I think he was a little frustrated too. Which that's fine, you know what I mean? I don't personally agree with it. I think belittling people and just kind of talking down to them, I think it discourages people. I don't think it motivates people.
Is that how you felt like he was?
That's how
training
that's
at
how
that
I
time?
felt. But at the same time too, like some people teach a different way. I like to give a lot of advice and be civil with people. I try not to yell at people.
Apparently Hugh Morris calls you racial and sexual slurs.
Yeah.
That's his style,
That's his style. Everyone's got a different style. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. Just like the t-shirt says, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But yeah, so, I had gotten in touch with Doug Summers because I met him at training and I had him on Facebook. And I saw that he was involved in this event for NCW, and I'm like, oh, NCW, like, what's this all about? Like,
what is this NCW?
Yeah, what is this NCW
you speak of?
And I'm like, do you have any connections? He's like, well, get a hold of John Casey, JC Marks. So eventually, I don't remember exactly how it went. I don't remember if I was able to get a hold of him right away or if it took a couple of tries.
Yeah.
But eventually, I got a hold of JC.
Again, this is a funny side story. Paul Lombardi once told us, like, hey, hit up this, when we were just wrestling for one place back in the day, he's like, hit up this, JC Marks guy on AIM and tell him that I sent you. So I remember Facebook, way before Facebook.
Yeah, AOL.
Yeah, I remember aiming him and saying, hey, my friend Paul Lombardi, sent me your way, to talk about bookings. He said, oh yeah, really? Who are you guys? And then I never responded ever again.
Really?
I remember being so intimidated. Like, this is again, when wressling for one place.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know how to talk to a promoter. I was just like, I thought you were just going to give me a date right away.
So I'm not going to say anything.
I said nothing until years later.
Good. That was a booking opportunity that we.
Yeah, we missed 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
We live and we learn, right? Yeah. But yeah, so I ended up getting hold of JC. And
lay down or something, dude. You're like mumbling. just go on the couch.
A little wobbly. But yeah, eventually I got booked with them. And then I remember like missing maybe like one show because of car troubles. But I was booked once, and then I was booked on almost every single one of their shows
all the time.
Yeah. And I worked for them for. What, 6 years?
Right, yeah, you were there for, that was like I said, it became your home, right? That was your.
It became like my home base, so to speak. But yeah, no, that was one of those things, and that's kind of where I learned a lot of stuff too, cause at that time too, You had guy like Bennett was still working there.
Yeah,
And
yeah, there was a lot
not
of
all the
guys
time,
that
but
was still-
sporadically.
Right.
Guy Alexander, Sid Reeves was working
Yep.
there sporadically. Venom was there all the time. So I was learning from a lot of those guys too, and
they're just popping in and having fun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like doing some stuff, like doing what they want to do. I don't. Not going and saying like this is what I'm doing, but a lot of guys like that, you could show up and it's like, hey, can I wrestle this guy tonight, or can I do this tonight?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
You get a little leeway.
Yeah, a lot of freedom and stuff. And in fact, I worked Sid Reeves one time in, oh God, where the hell was it? Needham?
Okay.
I think it was in Needham, and it was just a fun match, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was still super green, and he carried me through it like a pro. And I'm almost positive that Sid finished me. No, I don't think he finished me. I want to say he finished me with like a fucking brutal clothesline, because that's what I remember. But it might have been something else. But I remember, I think asking him if he could finish me with a clothesline, because we had previously we had a seminar with Terry Taylor.
Okay.
Bob had booked Terry to come up for some fucking spot or whatever in White River Junction, Vermont. And I was nominated to pick Terry Taylor up from the airport.
Okay.
So, needless to say, I was fucking shitting my pants during that car ride.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, come on. I mean, fucking 25-year-old kid, super markish still at that point.
Right.
With Terry Taylor, the Red Rooster, the tailor-made man.
Now I'm not gonna call anybody out on this, all right? But it couldn't have been that bad, because I recently heard of somebody picking up a name from the airport. Again, I'm not gonna say the name because you'll be able to figure out where they worked and stuff. But they picked the name up from the airport with their friends in the car and made the name sit in the back seat.
Oh,
Right. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That was something Green Boy did from like a training kid, went and go pick somebody up.
See, I had my buddy Kevin, who I mentioned earlier. I had him in the car because I was nervous about going alone. I'm like, dude, I'm terrified as shit. So,
Did you have a little sign that said Red Rooster and you just waited?
I
for him
wish,
to come
I
home?
wish. Actually, once we got into the airport, we were looking around, and he actually came out, not too long after we arrived upstairs. But yeah, no, he sat in the front. My buddy Kevin sat in the back. That's a big no. Don't let Terry Taylor sit in the back. You know what I mean? That's just
I can imagine.
That just not something you do. But yeah, so we had done a seminar with Terry Taylor that same weekend, and Sid, whoever he was working this training match with, gave them a fucking vicious clothesline, but it was safe. It was super safe, but it looked like fucking death. And after the match, Terry was very impressed with Sid, and he goes, "Why didn't you finish him after the clothesline?" He goes, "Well, that we had something else planned." He goes, "That fucking clothesline looked like like death." He's like, "If somebody hits me with that clothesline that hard," he's like, "I'm not getting up. That's the finish." You know what I mean? So that's going back to what I said before about sometimes changing the finish.
Right,
if
right.
you feel something's right.
Absolutely.
And good for business. That's where it goes back to, because I always remember that Terry. And I don't remember
Saying like that clothesline was the end.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. If something,
Anything after that's kind of pointless almost.
Because you want to, like, the aspect is, now I don't know how workers think nowadays, because they could think completely different. But the
I'm sure some do.
The aspect is to make it look as real as possible. And like, if somebody hits you in a fucking fight with a clothesline like that, and you fall to the concrete, you're not getting up.
Right, that's the end. Right?
That's it. That's the end. So Sid might have finished me with the clothesline. I don't remember. All I remember is that match was super fun, and he carried my fucking pudgy ass through it. Which goes to show how much of a pro he is. And
now you said when you that first match for Bob, you had shorts, you had Under Armour, you had to borrow some gear. What were you wearing for these? Like when you first broke into like NCW stuff, did you have your own gear by then? Or?
Yeah, I'd gotten like generic gear. I had gotten those mustard yellow trunks.
Okay.
Off at, like, I think eBay from Adrian Street. Shout out to Adrian Street. I got some generic fucking CM Punk looking yellow and black kick pads, which I still have that I never wear. And then after that, it was like Bob had sold me some old gear that he doesn't use anymore. It was what I call Starcock.
Okay.
It was I had yellow ones, like they were black trunks, and I had 2 pairs, one with the yellow star on the cock,
Okay.
and one with a green star on the cock.
Okay, so just right there.
right on the cock.
Okay.
Yeah, right on the cock. So Starcock tights, Starcock trunks. So that's what I was basically wearing. And then at that point too, I had gotten the boots that, I mean, I don't work anymore, but the boots that you've seen me in throughout my career,
yeah.
those are the same boots, the original boots that I originally purchased back in 2009. That they've been through hell and back. Those are the boots that I.
Where did you get those from? Because
I got those from ProWrestlingBoots.com.
Okay, so now do you mind how much did you drop on those bad boys?
I dropped $300 plus
yeah.
shipping and
because
handling.
and those boots will last you a long ass time.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
buy like the $125 boots from highspots.com, and that shit starts falling apart after a year or two.
Well, not only that too, I think the high spot ones I think they scuff up a little bit more depending on
sure.
like the.
If you get like the black and white shiny ones,
Yeah.
my boots are scuffed all the time.
Yeah, and it's easy to clean
Right,
them
of
too.
course, yeah.
But also too with those generic boots, like the custom ones fit my ankles and my calf perfectly. Yeah. Sometimes there's like a little flappage going on with
Gotcha,
with the
folds over.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not the best looking thing, and I'm sure it's not the healthiest thing on your ankles too,
for sure. Yeah.
You know, so I always say go custom with
Are
everything.
you eating granola bars? He's eating granola bars to sober up. But yeah, man, like my buddies from the Middlesex Express, they mentioned they got boots from like Steve the Boot Guy or something like that on Facebook.
Steve.
Yeah, they both named Steve, and they got it from like Steve
They
the
got it
Boot
from
Guy
a guy named Steve
as well. Yeah,
And
which is strange.
Does he share the same birthday as well?
I don't know if he shares the same.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, the Middlesex Express. They're our frenemies. We call them frenemies because we fight them all the time. But I find them kind of funny. But they have the same birthday. It's adorable, right? It's just the best.
That must be a good party.
But they or a creepy party. It could really go either way. But they
About weird stuff.
they go through Steve the Boot Guy. So I've been thinking about getting some new customs through him, some custom boots.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like if you can find a pair of boots that actually that last you. I mean my boots have been falling apart for a while. It's just I was always too lazy to get new ones.
I got my boots from Scott Levesque, so there was a lot of good karma in there.
See that?
A lot of championships been held by that man. So.
Sometimes those are the best boots, the hand me downs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, they'll last me for the rest of my life. I got the fingers crossed.
And they got a special place in your heart too. You know.
He still has those Scott Levesque boots. I have this. I'm on like my third pair. It's his first. I'm on my third already.
Sometimes it just works out that way.
Yeah, damn it.
But yeah, what were we talking about?
I don't know where we were before boots. I remember talking about boots. And
and were we on NCW?
Gear, NCW. Yeah. I just asked you what your gear was.
Yeah. So that was during that time period. That was basically my gear. I wore a lot of Starcock.
Yeah, Starcock stuff.
That was a lot of my gear, just generic stuff. Until eventually I'm like, you know what, I gotta put some money into this, and I ended up getting the custom trunks.
Were you always a trunks guy?
Yeah, I like to change things up too. Every once in a while, I would throw in the tights.
Okay.
Eventually, I mainly switched over to the tights because I was so tired of shaving my legs.
Okay.
That's
a perfectly legitimate reason.
And I think that may be why Bennett has now switched over to tights. He did trunks for so many years, and I think it just gets to the point where it's like, I'm tired.
Dog.
I'm over this shaving my legs shit. But yeah, no, that was what I wore, and then like I said, I worked for NCW for years. But then eventually I branched out. I mean, that was my home base. And I wasn't working too many shows. I mean, I would say probably maybe 20 shows a year.
Right, now was
for the
that
first
all
couple
NCW?
For the most part,
and then a couple other deals here and there.
Yeah, and then like spot shows and stuff.
Were you still there though? Were you in the back room, in the locker room, still paying your dues, helping with the ring and whatnot?
Oh yeah. I mean, I helped out for quite a while.
Still showing face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I still pay my dues up. I mean, past couple of years, if I really needed to, and the guys really needed some help, then I would help set up the ring and stuff.
Yeah, man, like I showed up to a show early, kind of recently, and then they were setting the ring up. So I was like,
yeah. but a lot of times, these companies, like, they have, students that, or new
Right,
guys
yeah.
and they have more than
A
enough.
lot of these companies are renting their rings out, and people are setting the rings up for them.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of times it's like, yeah, they don't really need any help.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, no, so, so NCW, yep, I worked there for many, many years.
Now, you were working there mostly, like you said, like a lot of those shows. Did you start becoming real close with those guys, I assume, right?
Yeah, I became really close with them. I thought, I think originally I became an NCW guy, but then as time went on, I realized, and I think a lot of people realized that, like, okay.
Sir, I think you've had enough.
Let him crack it open.
Okay,
let him
okay,
crack
okay,
it open.
okay.
Twist off.
Yeah, twist
off, yeah.
But the thing was, like, as I became smarter to the business and got more knowledge and got more experience, I started to realize what was dumb and what was good.
Yeah.
And there were times where I just went along with stuff because I was like, okay, I got to be the good soldier and
chug along, do what's good.
Yeah,
what they feel like is best for the show.
Yeah, and I don't have enough experience to really think any differently, and I wasn't rooted into any type of
or to voice your opinion otherwise.
Exactly,
right,
yeah. But as time went on, like, I suggested ideas, and as I've gotten older and as time went on, I realized that JC, really doesn't know too much about the wrestling business. I mean, he's just, he knows enough, but he was never a worker. So he doesn't know, like, some ideas were kind of like, why am I doing this? Like, why is this? And I remember I had worked with Doug, I forgot where it was, but we had worked the show together, and it was actually a really good match. And I had talked to Doug, and then I went to JC, and I was like, what about this idea of Doug and I doing a best of 7 series? And he's like, oh, no, not on the, nobody will ever be interested in a best of 7 series on the independent level. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but I think it'd be really cool. It'd be different. No, I don't think so. We'll come up with something else. And then Doug and I worked another match together, and it was also good. So I think JC realized maybe we should do a best of 7.
Keep putting them together.
And after the second match, that's when, because I won the first one, he went over on the second one, and then we ended up working it out to I cut a promo and say, you've won one, I've won one, like, this doesn't end here. Like,
right.
Let's
do this tiebreaker kind of series.
Yeah, let's do this series. And honestly, it was the best thing that they had on those shows that entire fucking year. I'm not tooting my own horn, but giving the product that he was giving at that time easily was the best matches on the card.
What were some of the other things on those shows, if you could recall?
Just, Richard Pacifico on the show, which I love Richard, but Richard, only worked for NCW. He didn't get a lot of experience. He didn't think outside the box. I love Rui to death, but Rui's another guy who's limited. He's a very heavy guy. As he's gotten older, when he was younger and he worked as a big man, he was decent. Yeah. You know what I mean? He was good. He knew how to work like a big man. As he got older and as he got heavier, I think a lot of the in-ring quality diminished a little bit, and he'll even admit it himself.
Yeah.
He picked someone up for like a fucking Ruination, his finisher, and he dropped them down, and like he either couldn't get up or he was out of breath or something.
Yep.
And I remember he got to the back and he was like, I couldn't even fucking get up. He was like, I was so out of breath.
Yeah.
And like he knew that his weight was contributing to the lack of quality in the match.
Okay.
So I mean, you had a lot of stuff like that, and I'm like, guys are who they are. Like, and I'm friends with a lot of those guys. I have no issues with them. There are certain things that other workers can do that I can't do.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
There are certain things that those guys could do that maybe some other workers could do. You know what I mean? It's just everyone after a while should know what their limits are,
Right,
And
then
who
work
they
to
are.
your limits.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, that was one point. Like, and JC didn't take a lot of my ideas over the years. That was one of them. He only took 2 other ideas that I suggested to him because it's basically it's his show. If he doesn't agree with it, and that's fine. But
Promoter thing, right?
yeah. But I think you also have to have somebody in charge that has either been in the ring or is currently in the ring. You know what I mean? Because you like promoters booking a show is not always a great idea because you're not a worker. You don't know exactly what's going on in there. You don't know the finer details.
A lot of times, though, when you get a promoter who also wrestles, that promoter ends up as champion of the show or heavily featured. You know what I mean? Which is not always the best idea.
No.
For a promoter either.
Sometimes it needs to happen because it goes back to the old
Who else
territory
can you
days.
rely on other than yourself?
Yeah, exactly. But 2 other ideas I had suggested to JC over the years was the program between myself and JT Dunn.
Okay.
I was going to be taking a few months off, and I was the champ at the time. And me being the champ was a result of that Best of 7 series because what happened was Rui had gotten hurt.
Okay.
Rui had gotten hurt. I think he hurt his knee, and they needed somebody to take the belt. So at this time, it was just in time for the Big City Rumble. And
I feel like that just happened recently. Like this.
One just happened recently.
Scott Levesque won. Scott Levesque.
Did he?
Mack podcast.
Oh, okay.
Veteran? I don't know. Veteran. Classmate. I want to. Some guy. Scott Levesque started the podcast with us. Like the first few episodes were either at his house.
Oh yeah.
With him.
And he's been around for forever.
Yeah, Levesque has been our friend. We met him when he first broke in, like in New Bedford with all the not Karoba, but the RDW kids and all that. Like Will Thorne and all those guys. Like we've known him for forever, and I think he was
great
eliminated.
guy too. Great guy.
Levesque's the man.
Super fun to work with too.
Except when he kicks you in the ribs. I'm saying it, Levesque. You got that vicious rib kicks.
I don't think he's ever caught me with one of those before.
Good. Congratulations, because he's got me a couple times.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you're on your hands and knees more than 5 seconds, you're catching a rib kick.
You're gonna get it.
And he was eliminated by another friend of the podcast, Dick Lane. Yeah. Dick Lane eliminated him at the end. So, something happened. Dick Lane and Scott Levesque were the last 2 in the Rumble. Something that I didn't see happen in 2 of my friends from different worlds. Yeah, it's very strange. All right, sorry, continue.
But no, and it's they decided to have the championship be determined in the Big City Rumble, and JC had approached me and he's like, you've come a long way in the past couple of years. We want to put it on you, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And that lasted a couple months, and what happened was Tim Kilgore was retiring.
Okay, yep.
And he wanted to retire on his daughter's birthday, and he would like to win the belt, and Tim was friends with JC and worked with JC for years, so out of respect and appreciation, that's what happened, and I was fine with that. I was perfectly fine.
Right?
With
Yeah.
it. In fact, Tim and I made chicken salad out of chicken shit because because originally the program was supposed to be Rui and Tim.
Okay.
And then
Rui got hurt.
Rui got hurt, so I was thrown in there. And the day of the show that I was going to drop the belt to him, we talked about it in the back, and Tim was like, "Oh, I want you to target my daughter, my wife, my family's in the audience. I want you to target them. Say that you're going to hurt me, blah 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 blah." I was also told not to mention hospital, because I guess that was a traumatic experience for his daughter or something. I don't know if she was in the hospital or if
there was a hospital.
There was a hospital
happened.
reference
right.
that I was
you
told
probably shouldn't have stay away from.
Yeah, but me being a fool sometimes, I actually slipped. And I went out for
slipped right out. Yeah,
I went out for they were celebrating his daughter's birthday. They had a cupcake and everything. They were singing happy birthday to her, the ring announcer, the whole audience and everything. I come out, I interrupt it, and I say how I'm going to hurt your father. I'm going to retire him today. I'm going to send him to the hospital. And I made her cry.
Right, just broke down.
She broke down, and Tim came out, slid under the ring, and beat the fucking piss out of me. And that set up that program for that night. So we took a program that nobody
just
gave
no
a shit about.
No background to it all.
No background because I was thrown in there, and we made it something that night just from that fucking promo. And that wasn't given to us.
Right.
There was going to be a promo, me going out there and cutting a promo. I don't know if me making her cry was part of the plans. I highly doubt it was.
Right, yeah. That wasn't written down on the run sheet.
No, but I think it was Tim's idea to go out there and kind of target her.
Yeah.
So the promoter, who is also the booker, set up the match, but we made the fucking angle. That's why you almost have to have somebody who's been in that ring, somebody who's a worker, booking those angles because they know what's going to hit a nerve and what's going to get over. And we did it. And when he went over, the crowd fucking popped huge because they fucking hated me because I made a little girl cry on her birthday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
so screw that guy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Homeboy
so
wins.
He did his job. I did my job. So now Tim being the champion and retired, now it had to go up in a tournament.
Right. Yeah. So the belt was up for grabs in the Big City Rumble. You won it, and then you immediately lost it. Was the next?
No,
like
it was like I think
it
was like 4 months later. 3
okay,
or 4
so a
months
couple
later.
shows later.
Yeah.
And then he wins it. After he wins it, does he retire immediately? Or,
yes.
And then puts the belt up to start a tournament.
Yep.
The next series of shows.
And the finals come down to.
I'm hoping you, since you were the champ previously. Okay.
Yeah. So I had suggested a program with JT Dunn at this point.
Okay.
JT was super over with that crowd.
Yeah.
He was the number one baby face.
What year was this roughly?
This was 2011.
Okay.
JT and I also.
So it was just when JT first started really picking up
some steam.
Right. Yeah. Leaving I'm trying to think of the names of a few places that. We did shows together with him, but like we both kind of stepped out into actual real shows.
Yeah, he stopped doing like the RWA shows, and I think he stopped doing like PLW and stuff, and like he started branching. I don't remember if it was quite this time where he started branching outside of New England.
Okay.
But either way, he was gaining a lot of steam, and he was the number one baby face. So
when he was with Samoza?
I think he was with Samoza at the time. Like,
okay.
Yeah, because I know he was with he was in the relationship with Amber at the time.
Yeah. Which, if you want to find out about, you can listen to the first JT Dunn podcast on here. The second one doesn't talk about that. I think that we get into some other crazy stuff.
Which is the reason why JT and I had heat in the beginning.
Because of Amber?
Yeah.
And this is why you're not allowed to drink. You spill your beverage everywhere. This is mine now.
There's beer all over the Mack mat.
Yeah, dude. How are the trainees supposed to work out with the beer spilled everywhere? I'm sorry. So the heat started with JT Amber.
So JT and I actually got. I wouldn't say we got really close, but we became friendly, and I was actually talking to Amber at that point.
Okay, you mean like talking to like
hey. Yeah, like
romancing.
Just kind of chatting around and I had we had talked to each other many times before, and it was just something going on,
some sort of chemistry,
some sort of chemistry,
some sort of deal going on. Yep.
So I had we were running a show in West Warwick that night, and for NCW. And I suggested to her, because I believe Top Rope was running in, I don't think it was Fall River. I think it might have been New Bedford.
Okay.
And she was working that show, and I said, well, after the Top Rope show, why don't you swing by, NCW, and we'll hang out or whatever, and maybe we'll grab a couple of drinks, something to eat or whatever.
Right.
So she's like, oh, maybe. So that night, JT wasn't booked.
Okay.
And what happened was, no, excuse me, I'm getting off track here. She did show up that night.
Okay.
JT wasn't there. That was a different night. So we had talked. We actually went out to eat near my house. It was a whole group of us. And I sat with her, and we were shooting the shit or whatever. So something was happening at that point.
Yeah.
Something like some sort of chemistry was happening. I believe it was the next show. All right. Wherein I believe. I don't remember where we were, but either way, all I know is I remember there was a bar. Yeah. It was an NCW show, and there was a bar.
Okay.
So JT is not on the card, and he was supposed to go to New York that week for a show, and things fell through. So he's like, "Oh, let me, can I grab a ride with you? I'd like to go to the NCW show, even if I don't work, I'll just hang out or whatever." So I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I pick him up, drive there. I don't remember if she was on the show or not, or if she had shown up or whatever, but either way, at the end of the show, we go to the bar, we're drinking, I start flirting with her, she starts flirting with me. All of a sudden, JT, realizes, I kind of want to get down with this. So JT starts flirting, so then she starts flirting back. So now, I'm not really the type of guy to be like, listen, back the fuck off. That I'm trying,
right, yeah.
I was just kind of observing and seeing what's going on because I also don't want to make a fool out of myself either.
You don't want to be like, yeah, well, this is my Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, if someone's trying to do something like, okay, let me see where this is going. Let me see if she reads through it. You know what I mean? Whatnot. So she started fucking getting into it. So I'm like, you know what? If she's into him and he's into her, I'm not gonna fucking, I'm not gonna. There are certain things you fight for. There are certain things you realize is not my hill to die on. So I'm watching all this, and I am getting fucking heated about it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna make a fool out of myself. I'm not gonna fucking, try and claim her as my own, because it just seems stalkerish at that point.
Yeah, that's all free game.
You know what I mean? Like it just kind of seems like, oh, well, what are you doing? You're mine. No, she wasn't mine. Right. She was. You know what I mean? She was single. I was single. We were flirting. So what happens is everyone else goes out to eat that night at some Chinese place. And so I'm like, "Oh, JT, you ride with me?" He's like, "No, I'm going to ride with her." So I'm like, "All right, motherfucker. I drove you here." You know what I mean?
That's when you officially knew the cock block was in place.
Oh, yeah. So I'm like, okay, So I make it halfway to the restaurant, and I'm so fucking bombed at this point that I just fucking pulled over and passed out somewhere.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I think I pulled in someone's driveway.
It just took a nap.
It just fucking took a nap and didn't wake up till the morning. And I actually had work the next morning, had to drive fucking, close to an hour back home or whatever.
Jeez, yeah.
So
a rough morning.
Yeah.
A rough night / morning.
Yeah, so I woke up and I'm like, what the fuck? Didn't even make it to the fucking restaurant, blah, 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 blah. Come to find out they spent the night together. She ended up driving him home or whatever. And I just felt like it was I think I might have even mentioned it to him that we had been talking, her and I.
Right.
I think I might have even mentioned it on the car ride there. But he just didn't give a shit. And I bitched him out about, number one, that. Number two, if I was that, he wasn't really drinking. If I was that fucking drunk, and I drove him, he could have easily driven me home. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Or driven me back to the location. I would have dropped him off, and then I would have drove home. It just kind of seemed like a douche thing to do. And I held a lot of animosity towards him for that. We didn't get along at all after that. But I was smart enough and professional enough to realize, okay, this kid's over. We need to do a program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm dropping the belt. I want to drop the belt so eventually, so he can take it. So what happens is that NCW tournament, originally it was going to be me winning it, and then I wanted to have JT come up short every fucking time we worked. Somehow I pulled it out.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, at the last show, he finally fucking rises up in the big fucking victory. Nope. JC decides no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna have the tournament, and then it's gonna come down to you and JT, and JT's gonna win. And I'm like, that doesn't sound good to me at all.
Right.
This is when I kind of had a little bit of stroke now. I'm like, that doesn't sound good to me at all. I'm like, I'd rather me
Build
go
it,
over,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean, and then have him build up for the rest of the fucking
Babyface
year.
Chase.
Yeah. So they were adamant. No, I think fucking Pava was even in on the conversation. Mike Pava was in on the conversation, and they wanted to do this fucking tournament thing where he goes over. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? And it was promised to me, like, once again, fucking nothing, never came to fucking pass. But if you do this, we'll rent out we'll have the big blow off be a steel cage match with you and JT.
Right,
you know what I mean? We'll have it be a big blow off, like. I'm like, all right, steel cage, that's cool. You know what I mean? The build
right,
yeah. You know what I mean? A big build up for that, like that's fine. Okay, so I go along with it. But the plan was too, like, okay, like he's gonna win it in the tournament, but then I screw him out of the title with my group Zero Tolerance, and then he chases it the rest of the way. But I felt like you had already given it away at that point. Like, okay, like the key is like, okay, so if you want to put him in the tournament with me in the finals, let me screw him out of the belt and then have him chase me the rest of the fucking year.
Yeah.
But no, they had him go over, and then a month later or 2 months later, I win the belt from him, and then now he's chasing me the rest of the time. They've already seen him like win the fucking belt at this point. Like it's kind of like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a terrible idea. It's just not the idea that I had envisioned in my head. So that was the second idea he went along with that I suggested. The third one was actually Mike Pava. Mike Pava had been like the NCW New England champion for like fucking 3 years at this point.
Right.
It was ridiculous. And then
the first time I ever seen Mike Pava, he was with Mercedes.
Yes.
Like wrestling for Yankee back in the day. And
was he Team Blade at that point?
Probably.
Yeah.
They were very similar looking outfits.
Yeah. So yeah, and then eventually it came to the point where Pava dropped the belt to Kevin Perry, and they kind of didn't know what they were going to do with Pava at that point, like starting the next season.
Was he Perry by then, or was he still Cordero?
No, he was Kevin Perry at that
Okay.
point. Yeah. Kevin Cordero, that's great.
It's his name, dog. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, so they were like, well, what are we going to do with Mike? And I'm like, the best thing to do, and I said it as a joke, but I was serious too. I'm like, you need to have Mike just fucking drop so low in the fucking rankings because
just lose to everyone.
That's the business. Like sometimes you got to cut people down to build them back up.
Right.
And I'm like, you should have Mike lose every single fucking match. Eventually it gets to the point where Mike doesn't even have a fucking entrance. He just comes out and he's standing in the middle of the ring.
What was that? The Teddy Long white man entrance? Teddy Long used to manage Rodney Mack.
Yeah.
He used to beat up white dudes. It was like the white man. It was some random thing like that. But yeah, no.
Yeah, and just have Mike be in the ring and then doesn't even have any music or anything. Just comes out and just stands in the ring and then he's announced in the ring like he's a jobber.
All right.
And at first they laughed at me about it, but then they ended up going with it. And what happened was, fucking Mike got. At first they laughed at him, blah 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 blah. You know, he's losing every single fucking match.
Yeah.
Eventually, it got to the point where people sympathized with him, and that was the plan. They were going to turn him babyface eventually, and that was the thing. Eventually, they sympathized with him, and it was the perfect way to turn him babyface. Because now it's like, once he finally gets that big win, he gets that win out of the way, people cheer for him. You know what I mean? This guy's been losing fucking 360 days of the fucking year. Not that long, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Building some self-esteem for his babyface run.
You know,
now.
and it worked out perfect. Once he turned babyface, like fucking. I think he's still a baby face over there.
Lasted that long.
Yeah, so that just goes to show how well some of my ideas have gone. But those are the only ideas he went with. I had tons of them, and he even put me a part of the fucking booking committee and one of the agents in the fucking back room. And it just got to the point where we clashed so much because I'm a worker, so I know what needs to go on in there, and he's not, so he really doesn't.
Now, did that, were you guys, outside of wrestling and disagreeing with the way like storylines should go, matches should go. Were you guys friends?
We were, yeah. All of us were very friendly. Up until
Because I mean, like a booking committee on a smaller promotion, like it's a couple of guys who get together kind of often, and
Yeah.
it works pretty good if you're all friendly or friends or
yeah, and it was good. It was very good, but like you could see the writing on the wall because I would always suggest these ideas, and he'd be like, "No, I'm not gonna. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." So it was always kind of like I always knew after a while that I wasn't an NCW guy. Like I'm kind of like my own guy.
you felt excluded from that like clique of dudes.
Yeah, well, and not maliciously. Like I think just because a lot of those guys are like so close to JC that they'll go with everything that JC says, and those guys too. And it goes back to my next story, what led up to the falling out. A lot of those guys, some of those guys I'm still friendly with, but a lot of them don't like me because I had a fight with JC, or I had an argument with JC, and I talked bad about JC.
Okay.
So they don't like me for that, even though I had nothing personal to say about them. It's just one of those things where they all share the same goddamn brain and the same fucking backbone. You know what I mean? Whereas I've always spoke my mind. I've always been very honest with people. Because I think people respect that. Maybe people dislike me for it. Maybe people respect me for it. Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
But that was always kind of our relationship. It was like okay, like we're good friends, and you know what I mean, we were very close friends for a while. But it's just like our concept of professional wrestling was just completely
Just
off.
different, right?
Yeah. So fast forward to a year and a half ago when I stopped working for them. So we go through the whole motions, and I did absolutely everything for them. I remember one time the heavy hitters were working a tag match, and Frank Champion actually broke the top rope
Yes, I seen
and
that.
took a fucking death dive
I thought
onto the
yeah,
floor.
yeah, for sure, man. If
I'm-
you could find that video, watch it because it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't get hurt, but that was, I think, the
Frank's
first.
a tough dude, man. Like,
Yeah, no, and those guys are great workers too. I had a chance to work with them a couple of times.
Shay has
last
progressed
year.
so much.
Both of them have come along.
As a tag team, like they found their groove.
And you
for
know
sure.
what too? You know what I love about them too? They're big guys. They let's be honest here, all right? I'm no knock to them. They're two big fat guys,
Right.
All right. Shay has dropped a little bit of weight, but
still pretty big.
But Frank is big to where he almost like reminds me of Mabel.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He's got that big, like he's not just fat, like he's not sloppy fat. He's got that.
His whole stature is just big.
Yeah, you know what I
He's a
mean?
big dude.
And they work like big dudes.
Right.
They don't. Every now and then you'll see Shay do like the cannonball into like the corner or whatever.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
they don't try and do things that fucking
They're not
cruiserweights do.
springboarding out there,
Exactly.
and leapfrogging you during their matches,
And that's
all
what
that
that's
jazz.
what I appreciate, and that's why I respect them so much, and why I enjoyed working with them, because they know who they are.
Yeah,
they know
for
exactly who they are. They're big dudes, so work like big dudes. That's
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
And Shay also doesn't complain when you punch him in the face.
No.
Because I've done it a few times where I've walloped that dude. He just gives it back to you. Like there's no complaints afterwards. He's like, hey.
Oh yeah, and those guys are like really easy to call a match with too.
for sure.
Nothing but fun working with them. But that time that Frank broke the top rope, I think it was in the first or second match.
Right.
And they needed to scramble to get out there and fix the fucking rope. So I was Beautiful Buddy at this time.
Yep.
Maybe we can delve back into Beautiful
Right, yeah,
Buddy
we'll go
later.
back. Yeah.
I was Beautiful Buddy at the time, working heel, because they needed a hot heel at the time, and so they come up to me. JC's like, you got to go out there and cut a promo, and I'm like, okay, like I wasn't prepared to do anything.
Right. Just go.
Okay.
You need to go buy some time so they can.
So I went out there, and being confident and having my experience and doing many promos, I went out there and cut like a fucking 8-minute promo and gave them enough time to fix that fucking rope.
Right.
All right.
As they were fixing it around you.
Yeah, and drew a ton of heat on me, and it wasn't dragged out. The audience participated too, because it was one of those deals where I walked out and I said, I'm not coming back, and then I came back and I said, I'm really not going to come back.
Came back.
One of those whole deals. Was it?
Was this Norwood?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it stretched out to whatever 8 or 10 minutes, however long they needed to fix the rope.
So those crowds are generally smaller, but they're like loud. They're real,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
real into it.
And there's a lot of kids too, so it's easy to
yeah.
kind of sucker them in. So I'm doing all this stuff throughout the years. I'm being the good soldier. I'm sacrificing stuff. I'm doing whatever they need me to do. Blah 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 blah. Now during this time, I'm working a program with Robbie for the New England Championship.
Okay.
And the plan is, this was the plan, which this is another thing too. I have been telling people have been trying to talk JC into bringing Romano in for a year and a half at this point. And JC was like, no, we have kids. It's going to offend people, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay. So finally, I think Jake and Mike eventually convinced him.
Talked him into it.
Because JC saw me in action as Romano at one of the shows one time.
Okay.
And he saw exactly what Romano was all about. So, they convinced him, and the plan was, it was going to come down. There was this. Robbie and I were working back and forth for like months. So, it was going to be to where I put my career on the line, or lose or leave town, whatever
the deal is. Yeah.
So, and then Robbie eventually, a couple months later, was going to have like an open challenge, and Romano was going to come out, and the whole deal was, because my whole mission was to become the second Triple Crown champion, because I had become the heavyweight champion. I had held the tag titles with Owen Gratian. Now my only task is I need to win the New England title to hold all the belts in NCAA.
Right.
So that was the whole program with Robbie and I. How we had our series of matches.
Yeah.
So I was going to come back as Ramona and beat Robbie.
Okay.
And I was going to say I'm the Triple Crown champion, and then Dean Livesey was going to come out and say, you're not Buddy Romano, right? You better not be. You're Ramona.
Buddy Romano lost the lose deal.
You're not the Triple Crown champion. This is your first title.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So it was going to be one of those things where I think eventually it was going to be revealed as me. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was going through relationship issues in my personal life.
Now it was a little before that too, right? It was like I feel like there was like a series of time where I remember hearing those guys saying that they were worried about you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was this the time with the gun photo?
No. We can delve into that.
Before that?
This was way after the gun photo.
Okay.
This was the woman who I was involved with, who's a fucking cunt. She's actually my next door neighbor.
Well, that's kind of not cool at all.
Yeah. So
were you guys neighbors then, and you're still neighbors now?
Yes.
Okay, I thought maybe you weren't neighbors. All this jive happened, and she moved in next door.
No.
We're
We're still neighbors to this day. I just, whenever I see her, I choose to ignore her because she's a loser. There's actually a no contact order on me right now too, so it wouldn't be wise
is this violating the no contact order currently?
It might. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't care.
Names have not been named.
Yeah. So
names have been named. So we're good. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they can. I can hint around all I want.
Okay.
They can't. Yeah. So anyway,
you could be talking about your summer home, your vacation home.
Yeah,
Venice,
exactly. Any one of my many homes.
Yeah, right. Any of your neighbors.
But so I'm in this relationship, and she actually becomes 2 months into our relationship she becomes pregnant with my child.
Okay.
And
so a little buddy baby.
A little buddy baby, yeah. So we found out that she was pregnant we found out in January, but she had already been like, I don't know how many weeks. I think it was she had been like 4 weeks pregnant at the time.
So at least a month.
Yeah. So we have our first appointment with the doctor in February. I think it was supposed to be February 23rd, something like that. And come February 20th, which was actually an NCW show. Now her and I have been having some problems or whatever, like arguments or whatever. Nothing too major, but as couples do. And
right.
So
bitches be crazy.
Bitches be crazy. They cray. But I go to this NCW show. in Norwood, and I work the show, have a great time, go out to eat afterwards, go home. The next morning, I have a text. I wake up to a text like, hey, can you come over? So at this point, like, I'm like, this is fucking weird. So I
Stop freaking out.
I have a sick feeling in my fucking in my chest and in my fucking head. So I get my shoes on. I run next door, for her to be crying and tell me that she lost the baby.
Right.
She actually lost the baby the night I was at the NCW show, but didn't want to call me because she didn't want me rushing home.
Right.
From, a 45-minute drive, but she was in the hospital that night, and I believe lost it the same night, or it might have been that morning or whatever.
Okay.
I was.
This is the first you're hearing of it, though.
Yeah. I cried like a fucking baby.
Of course.
Of
course.
Oh, fuck. That tore me up. So I was going through a lot of shit.
That's enough to really mess with your head.
Yeah, it until you actually experience it, you don't know, just how much it affects you.
Right, because I'm sure a lot of people think, like, it wasn't even born yet, all that jive. But, like, you become attached to this idea of what life's going to be.
Yeah.
And then for it to completely change again.
Oh, yeah.
It like I said, it can really mess with your brain.
Well, I mean, like when I was younger and you hear stories, oh, this person had like a miscarriage, or this person lost a baby. It's like, oh, that's too bad, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
but you kind of brush it off.
You brush it off
right.
until it happens to you. That's when you. And now, like when it happens to somebody else,
like,
I kind of
damn, that's real heavy.
Yeah,
like
I know exactly what it feels like. So, I'm going through this, and then
who knew the Mack cast would become like a heartfelt abortion talk? Like,
I know
there's kind of crazy. It's so
there's
weird.
a lot of layers to Buddy Romano.
Right?
I'm like an onion.
And the deeper we go, the more that you'll cry.
I don't know if I'll cry
okay,
at this point. So much has happened to me over the years that I've kind of built up callous.
Gotcha.
So this happens, and then she's distancing herself from me because that's the way she copes with things.
Okay.
Just kind of.
And I'm sure you remind her of the whole thing too. Like it's like a whole.
Yeah,
right.
and she it just kind of she's being really shitty about
okay.
about the whole thing. Where I have to kind of deal with it on my own. Where
Gotcha.
she's got a ton of family, and I don't really want to involve my family because I don't want to fucking depress them.
Right.
So at this point, I'm drinking. I'm self-medicating. So eventually we kind of talk things out or whatever. But fast forward 3 weeks later, she decides this is a bad relationship. She doesn't want anything to do with it, and she just breaks it off. So now within a 3-week span, I have to deal with the tragedy of losing my unborn child,
right,
and
now
losing my girlfriend
that you loved, loved you,
yeah. So now it's really like the depression is really fucking setting in, and it got to the point where I just didn't give a shit anymore,
right,
and I was taking a lot of different medications. I was taking Ambien 2 for sleep.
Now, is this stuff that was prescribed to you? Like,
yes.
You went to the doctor and you're like, look, man, I'm not right.
I'm not, yeah, I was like, I'm not sleeping. I'm like, I don't know what to, and they're like, okay, we'll give you Ambien, blah, blah, blah. They messed around with a couple other drugs, too.
Ambien's crazy.
Yeah.
Because if you don't fall asleep, you're like hallucinating.
Oh, believe me, I know.
Right,
Yeah. I mean, there are stories about me fucking shoot fighting with imaginary people on my deck.
Just out there grappling around,
doing waist locks to imaginary fucking people.
Gotcha.
So that's Ambien for you,
and
folks.
To you think you're asleep. You have no recollection of this at all. You took it. I'm going to bed. And
well, not only that, you gotta figure the alcohol too.
Right, which I'm sure does not help.
Yeah. So you're not asleep. You take this sleeping drug. You're not asleep. You mix it with alcohol. Like it's like fucking hallucination city. Yeah. So it gets to the point where so this plan of to get off track a little bit, this plan with Robbie and Romano and everything is supposedly going to happen the night of the NCW show. I forgot when it was. I think it was in March, something like that. So I had been struggling for like 3 or 4 weeks with this whole shit, and
this is after she cut it off and all
yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah. Well, this is 3 weeks from the original tragedy of the the miscarriage and
Right.
everything, and now it might have been like a week or 2 after the breakup. Like people.
Either way, you're just not in the right mindset.
No.
at all. You're
And
not.
a lot of them have been worried about me and whatnot, and they did legitimately care. I get phone calls from JC and Mike or whatnot, and a couple other guys and stuff like that trying to help me through it. But at this point, Mike Paver's grandmother had also passed away.
Right.
And I was trying. Mike and I were very close.
Yeah.
Not only in the ring but outside of the ring, and
So you guys did the tag thing for a while. Too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, we tagged for years. So we became very close, and I was trying to help him through his stuff, but also at the same time, I wasn't in the right frame of mind.
Right. You needed help yourself.
Yeah. So it got to the point where it was Mike's mother's Mike's grandmother's wake and funeral. I didn't show up to them. I said I was, but then I never ended up showing up to them. Because I wasn't in the right frame of mind. You know what I mean? It's something.
To tell somebody one thing when you're sober or sober-ish, and then to actually have to act and do it after you've already been sitting and drinking and taking.
Well, even if I wasn't like drinking, and I don't remember exactly what it was, I still wasn't in the right frame of mind. I was still battling my own personal issues, and I should have shown up. I should have.
Right.
All right. But what happened was that caused a rift between Mike and I, because I guess Mike was upset that I didn't show up and show support, and I did apologize to him.
Yeah.
And he said that it was okay, blah blah blah. But what happened was one night, I think I had talked to her one night, and things didn't go as planned. We didn't work things out, and I decided, like, okay, I'm just going to take a fucking bunch of Ambien, and whatever fucking happens, happens. I mean, I was basically trying to fucking commit suicide.
Right.
So apparently, when that happened,
At the very least, you were like, fuck me.
yeah. I was supposed to have an appointment over the phone with, like, a psychiatrist, that was provided through my workplace. And
So it's open to this point where you're not right. Where work is involved.
Yeah. A lot of things have come into play where people knew, and then eventually I just kind of came out and said, "Listen, there's something wrong here."
Yeah.
I was supposed to have the appointment at like 8:00 in the morning over the phone. I woke up at 7:00 that morning and immediately started fucking drinking and taking pills. So I passed out immediately. And missed the phone call.
Yeah.
And JC, I guess, called me at some point and said, did you take the phone call? Like, did they call today? I said, I got fucked up. I slept through it. And JC was pissed. He's like, what, fucking, you need to get your shit together, blah, 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 blah. Which I understand he was trying to be a friend.
Right, yeah. You understand now that he was trying to be a friend. But at that time, when you're doing those things, you're just like, well, get out of my face.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, because you're in denial at that point.
Yeah.
But then it got to the point where that night there was supposed to be an NCW show, and I'm like, fuck it, like and he got off the phone, he was pissed with me, and then that's when I took the fucking heavy dose of fucking pills, and I texted him, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to make it tonight, and he's like, what the fuck, blah 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 blah, like, so during the time where I took them and where I just became, out of it and not knowing what the hell I was doing, I guess I had called Rui.
Okay, yeah.
And called Rui Botello, and this is what I don't remember the conversation.
This is being told to you. This
is being told to me afterwards. Apparently, I was talking in slow motion.
Right, which
like
is, yeah. It makes sense.
And just saying very dark things. And Rui was worried, called JC and said, I'm worried about Buddy, blah, 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 blah. JC, he knows where I live, called the police and got a wellness check. and cops came, and I was fucking out of it. And I spent the rest of the weekend in the hospital, in the fucking psych ward. And what came of that was, it was somewhat of a wake up call.
Okay.
Somewhat of a wake up call. But, my parents were in the hospital with me, and I told them, I said, get a hold of JC, get a hold of Mike, blah, 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 give me my phone. I want to jot down a few numbers, because you can't have a cell phone in there, but they snuck it in. I was able to grab some numbers down, jot them down, and then use the phone that they had.
There, yeah.
So, I tried calling JC over and over again. No answer. I left a message, when my parents came back again, texting him. I texted him on my phone. They snuck up to me, and I said, JC, if you get a number from this, saying
call.
this,
Yeah.
it's me calling, blah, 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 blah. No response. Try calling Mike. No response. Nothing. I ended up talking to Doug Summers. He talked to me for a while. And then Tim Kilgore was the only guy who came to visit me and brought me some books. Terry Funk book.
Yeah, of course, wrestling books, right?
Yeah, he brought me a bunch of books. I was actually reading the Harley Race book.
Terry Funk book is awesome, by the way.
What is it?
Terry Funk books is
I
awesome.
still haven't gotten to it. But I was reading the Harley Race book the whole time I was in there, because there's only one TV in that fucking psych ward.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking 18 fucking
you
people
watch
in there.
Price is Right.
Yeah, it was like, oh my god, you just eventually you just stay in your room and you just fucking read. That's the only thing you can fucking do, and participate in the fucking activities. But what it all boiled down to was, after I got out, eventually got a hold of JC. I don't think hadn't gotten a hold of Mike.
Okay.
But their excuse for not talking to me was, I put them through hell. They need time to process this and get over it. Like, they need some distance from me right now. Which, in a way, I kind of understand.
Right.
But
in a way, I'm sure also pissed you off.
Yeah. And eventually when JC and I started talking again, I said, so what's the plan for the next show? He goes, you're not on the next show. He's like, you're not on any shows until further notice. And I'm like, why? He's like, I decided to pull you off. I'm like, dude, I fucking went through 2 traumatic experiences. I just fucking spent time in the fucking hospital. I'm like, I need fucking wrestling as an outlet.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, not doing it. In fact, that night that I was in the hospital, that I was rushed to the fucking hospital, we were supposed to start the program between Robbie and I. That night, meanwhile, I'm in the hospital at this point.
Right, yeah.
JC approaches Doug Summers and said, yeah, we're going to do this angle with Robbie and Buddy and, as Ramona, and, he was going to win the New England title. We're going to scrap that. You want to do a program with Robbie and win the New England title? And Doug was like, fuck you. Like, fucking, no, I don't want some fucking angle handed to me that was supposed to be for somebody else. Yeah. And he's like, dude, Buddy's in the fucking hospital right now, and you're talking about that? And Doug even approached JC and was like, do you really think keeping Buddy off these shows is the right fucking thing to do? Like he needs his friends more than ever right now. And JC was like, nope, I don't feel comfortable. Mike doesn't feel comfortable around him, blah, 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 blah. And I just thought it was a shitty way to, deal with things.
Yeah.
And I basically told JC, eventually I said, listen, if you don't want me there, and we're not going to resolve this right now, then let's just put an end to it. Like, I'm not going to work for you anymore. You know what I mean? Like if you don't feel comfortable and Mike doesn't feel comfortable, which Mike never told me that he was uncomfortable. I had to hear it secondhand from somebody.
Right.
Because that's the way Mike is. Mike's non-confrontational and doesn't want to come out and admit to people, certain things. So I basically gave my notice, and I'm like, I'm not fucking working for you anymore. That's fine. You want to act this fucking way? Like, that's fine. So, meanwhile, Mike and I think for a brief period of time had stopped working as the Glamour Express.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to back up and get into
we can get back into that after,
okay.
But
but we had stopped working together, for a brief period period of time as the Glamour Express, and then eventually when we got the gig for NECW, Mike was all about it because we had never worked for NECW.
Yeah.
Mike had also, I think, gone to other promoters and said, I'm not comfortable tagging with Buddy. So it seems ironic that we had a good run in APW, and then once my hospital thing happened, all of a sudden I was told, yeah, we're breaking you and Mike up, and we don't really have anything for you guys right now. We don't have any ideas for you. So that caused major heat between myself and Big Woody, too, from APW.
Yeah.
Because at that point, we had done everything for that fucking company. And what happened was earlier that previous year, what happened was we were booked for all these APW shows. We had gotten a list. These are all the booking dates. Are you available? Yes, yes, yes. And I would do all the booking for Mike because Mike fucking smokes a ton of fucking weed and can't remember anything.
Speculation, purely speculation.
So I basically had to keep track of his bookings, and I was the one who set up all the bookings for us. Like, oh, this place wants to use us. Are you available this day? Yeah, I'm available. And then it would come, like, it would get to the point where, like, oh, you remember, we have a show this weekend, right? Oh, we have that's this weekend? I'm like, yes. Do you have anything planned? No, I don't have anything planned. I'm like, good, because we're fucking booked.
Right, we have a show.
You know what I mean?
You were clearly just his booking agent, like Training Number One's my booking agent.
Yeah.
I can't remember any shows.
There's got to be one on each team.
But that has nothing to do with illegal drugs, though, that's for sure.
It's all the French wine, you son of a gun.
But so what happened was we were working all these dates for APW that previous year, and there was one date that they sprung on us. It was kind of like one of those like deals where it was like a last minute date, and we didn't confirm for it for APW, but NECW also approached us for
that night,
about that same night for the Brockton Fair, and we can either drive to Newburyport, which is 2.5 hours.
Yeah, far.
Or Mike can drive 5 minutes away from his house, and I can drive an hour away from my house and just do the Brockton Fair for NECW. We never confirmed that for APW. We were good on all of our dates. That was fine. So we took the NECW booking. And that caused a ton of fucking shit because
with
now...
APW.
Yeah, because now it was like you took their booking over ours.
Right.
It just led to a bunch of shit. Basically, we had been told prior that, you guys are the hottest tag team right now in APW, so we're going to put the belts on you. I'm like, great. You know what I mean? Like, we get to represent the company as the top tag team. Like, good. Because Mike and I gelled very well. But now all of a sudden, the show that we thought we were going to win the belts, all of a sudden it got changed from Mike and I tagging up to myself and Joe Moakley, who was also part
in the group, right?
Also in the group along with Danny Miles.
Okay.
So Joe is not a worker. Joe is basically a guy. He's a guy who is in the APW office. He's he kind of runs the whole deal. Woody's the booker. But Joe works every once in a while. He's very limited. So so I was like, okay, all of a sudden it got changed to that show was supposed to be, Mike and Robbie in a stepladder match, or they were trying to get a stepladder match going, just to kind of humiliate Mike, because Mike took more of the heat because he was more rooted in with APW than I was.
Okay.
I got put with Moakley, in the tag team match instead of Mike. So I was like, okay, no biggie. Like now, like I know, like I got to carry the match. You know what I mean? Like it's fine. You know what I mean? But it wasn't a big deal. Like that's fine. I have no issue with being the workhorse in the match. That's fine. And no disrespect to Joe. I love Joe. Joe's a great guy, but he knows who he is. Like he's not a great worker. Like he's the guy like Mr. Fuji was. To Demolition when they would do the 6-man tags. Once the guy's down, then Fuji would get tagged in and get some stomps in. That's what Joe Moakley was, and that's fine. Like that's his role. And then we were just kind of punished, like different things. Like we were putting over the Knuckle Busters like all the fucking time. Like we were just like, and that was fine.
Burley,
Bare Knuckle Burley,
and
Bugsy.
Okay.
So the whole tag team title thing got scrapped. I think we kind of figured that out after a while. And then the last show of the year, before they took the month off for the holidays or whatever, we put the Knuckle Busters over again. They come back the first show of the fucking year, the next year.
Yep.
They break the Knuckle Busters up.
Okay.
So we put these fucking guys over, knowing that they were going to break them up next year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why not let us go over then? If that's the route that you're going to.
You guys are going to continue to be a team, and they're breaking up. Why wouldn't? Yeah, I know you're.
Yeah, and then so after the whole so I ate shit this whole time. I kept eating fucking shit with this whole thing, and then once the hospital thing, when I was hospitalized, and they came back with, yeah, we're breaking you and Mike up. We're breaking the glamorous ones up altogether. The glamorous ones were myself, Mike Pava, Joe Moakley, and Danny Miles. We're breaking them up all together, but we don't know what to do with you guys, so we don't have anything for you guys.
Yeah.
And I just fucking snapped. I was just like, I think I messaged him the day of the show, and I'm like, I'm not fucking showing up, because I was just like, we ate shit for the whole NECW thing.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't booked on that fucking show. We were confirmed for all the other dates, but not on that show.
One, right.
Yeah. We ate shit for that. We put fucking every fucking team over like $1 million fucking bucks. We were told we were gonna get the fucking belts. We don't get the fucking belts. You're trying to get this fucking thing going with Mike and Robbie in a fucking stepladder match, which never happened. But you basically just wanted to fucking humiliate
Mike
him
because he's
know
short.
what I mean? Yeah. Now, like, also you have us put over the fucking Knuckle Busters, and you break them up fucking 2 months
Where
later.
does that leave you guys?
Yeah. And now you're breaking us up, and you don't know what you have for us. I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, I can only deal with so much fucking shit. I can eat only so much fucking shit.
Shenanigans before we're done.
So we had cut I had cut ties with APW at that time and told them I wasn't coming back. But meanwhile, it's still uncomfortable between Mike and I at this point. NECW wants to use us. Mike knows.
What was your connection through NECW? Was it Sheldon or was it Castro?
Mainly Castro and Chris Norman.
Okay.
Every now and then I would have interactions with Sheldon.
Right.
As time went on, I got a better relationship with Sheldon, but it was mainly Castro and Chris Norman. So Mike sees that we're still a fucking hot tag team, and we're about to work for NECW, who I believe had television at that time. I'm not sure if maybe they were in between.
Okay.
But he realizes, okay, like, I'm probably better with Buddy at this point, and sucks it up. And I would call Mike and try and become close friends with him again. He would not have it.
He's just not interested.
He was the only time he would call me back or even respond to my text messages or something was when I say, I get this idea for the match. Then he would call me back. But if I called him and left him a message and been like, Mike, it's Buddy, just want to see how you're doing, just wanted to catch up or whatever.
Yeah.
Just wanted to talk, shoot the shit or whatever, he would never fucking call me back. So the writing was on the wall. He obviously only wanted to deal with me professionally.
Right.
So, we worked all these programs. We worked with Frank, Shea, Genesis, Alex North, eventually, we're doing promos all the time. Like, we're being built up as the top tag team in NECW. We even did a spot with DC and Eddie Edwards at their celebration, their birthday bash. Where they reunited for one night with Sean Gorman and just beat the shit out of us because we were saying we were the greatest greatest tag team in NECW history, which was a lot of fucking fun. So then we get tossed in the tag tournament. We get to the finals. We're supposed to be working with Brute Van Slyke, and Jack Maverick. So at this point, it's kind of like just like, okay, Mike and I are working shows that we need to work, blah blah blah. I'm also still in contact with JC because we kind of mended the fences a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm pitching him ideas how to come back to NECW, blah, 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 blah. I got this idea. He just kind of shrugs me off, blah, blah, blah. Eventually it's basically laid out to me that, you know, it's not said that Mike is uncomfortable being around me, but JC's like,
you're led to believe that.
Yeah, JC basically said, like, you know, there's some people within NECW, with NCW that are still not comfortable with being around you. And I'm like, so basically Mike. And he's like, I'm not mentioning any names. By saying that, he basically...
saying yes.
Yeah. So, we get to the point where we're in the finals of this fucking tag tournament for NECW. And they were going over anyway, so it didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Jack Maverick and Brute, fucking, they were going over. So, but I basically messaged Sheldon, Bo, Chris Norman, Castro, messaged all them, and I'm like, it's become quite apparent to me that Mike doesn't want to tag with me anymore, and quite frankly, I don't want to tag with him anymore.
Yeah. So after this.
Yeah. So after this, I don't know what you want to do with me. I don't know what you want to do with him, but I'm letting you know that
we're not going to be doing it together.
Yeah. Yeah. I basically did it without talking to Mike because he wouldn't fucking answer my phone calls anyway. And that was it. And as far as I know, Mike still hasn't worked for them, and I was still slated to work for Triple W for them until I canceled on them because of my shoulder.
Now let's rewind it a little bit, and we never really got into the whole Shikara match thing, which you spoke about earlier. And the tag match with the whole group of thing. And there was some sort of heat. There was a lot of beef in there afterwards. I remember hearing it from both sides.
Yeah.
Now, what was that exactly happened? What was the issue?
So what happened was we're in the back. And
like your point of view, from what I remember, was that everybody was like complaining about not having enough time in the match or not being able to get this stuff in, and the other guys who were in the match a lot saying basically, "Fuck it, like that's your own fault."
Yeah, no, it was basically the way it was. Like, we went in there, and we talked to Mike Quackenbush, and Quackenbush met with us, and he's like, listen, guys, like I know we do a different style. Like, don't try and adapt to our style.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you do it, that's fine. But if you have your own style, be you. Be you, basically. You know what I mean? Of course, and I think they've come a long way, and I think they've matured quite a bit. But we're told that, and then all of a sudden, like the fucking Minutemen and the Hoods, they stop playing in fucking lucha spots.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, did you guys just not hear what he said? Like, I mean, they probably did do some of that stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what year was that?
2011.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like that's the Minutemen, and we're already kind of doing that spotty style.
But this, like, if you go back to the match,
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, the match was actually really fucking lucha. Really, it's okay to be spotty if that's your thing, but I feel like they went above and beyond to try and like adapt to that style. Where I did my own thing, Triplicious did his own thing, Doug did his own thing, Todd Sopel did his own thing, Dunn kind of did his own thing as well, but all of a sudden, it was like, we show up, and Dunn and the Minutemen, and I don't remember if it was so much the Hoods, but they're like planning on spots.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of telling me, like telling me what I need to do, and telling Doug and fucking Todd Soul.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, the fuck is that?
Right.
So like, it was kind of stewing in the back. So, we get out there, we do our thing, and a lot of guys are trying to get their fucking their shit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we all want to get our shit in. Like, we want to showcase ourselves. But fucking the Minutemen kept tagging themselves in.
Yeah.
They, like, anytime one of them was in, they kept going to the other one. Like, they made no attempt to tag me in. They made no attempt to tag Todd Sopel in. They made very little attempt to tag Triplicious in. Until the point where I saw Tommy Trainwreck going over to fucking Devin Blaze to tag him in once again. Now you can go back and watch the match. I would say 80% of that match is them in the fucking ring.
Okay.
Eventually you get to the point where he was going to tag fucking Devin Blaze in, and I stuck my fucking hand out. I'm like, fucking tag me now.
Yeah. No, like, you get the mindset of a tag team, right? You instinctively go back to your partner. It's
but
kind of the thing.
They knew well enough at that point that they should have involved all of us. That side, the opposite side, didn't really have too much trouble getting every single person in.
Right. Yeah.
Why was it our side? You know what I mean? And everyone was pissed. Like Todd was pissed. I don't know if it was Tripp. I don't know if Tripp was that upset. I know he was a little disappointed with it. But basically, I went to the back, and like I do sometimes, I lose it.
Okay.
And in front of which I think was the wrong thing to do, because I was in this new fucking locker room.
Right, yeah, for sure. Didn't you guys run that building normally?
Yes.
So I'm sure you felt more comfortable there than you.
Yeah, NCW had ran there before.
If it wasn't a building that you were familiar
with. And I basically bitched them out. I motherfucked them like crazy. Which to the point where I guess I didn't find out until later on that apparently Sarah Del Rey had heat with me because she thought I was very unprofessional.
Okay.
By bitching them out, but
Gotcha.
I motherfucked them like crazy.
You lost it basically.
I lost it. Yeah, I was like, if you ever decide to have a fucking 10-man tag again, don't fucking involve me, because obviously you guys don't want me in the fucking match.
Right.
Blah 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 blah. And they were just kind of like, dude, like fucking, like they tried to walk away from it, but I was fucking heated,
adamant.
I probably should have backed off as well. And it goes back to the point where when I'm wrong, I will admit that I'm wrong.
Right.
And I was wrong in that situation. I should have pulled them aside and bitched them out that way instead of in front of fucking entire locker room.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like that's where that whole heat came from. I just felt like they were being selfish during that match. Now I've have no issues with them now. I've ran into them recently. I think they've matured as workers and as, human beings.
I'm gonna lean a little negative on that human beings thing. They're both still. They're both still children.
I mean, they treat me with more respect.
No, of course they for sure matured.
You know what I mean? So,
I just like making fun of them.
But no, and like you brought up that building. In fact, Rui Botello and Mike Paver were talked about to be involved in that match.
Right.
Yes.
Which would have been just even stranger.
Yeah. Because Steve Weiner, the Turtle
was
Weiner,
the connection, right?
He was the connection. He kind of set everything up through Quackenbush, and Mike and Rui were approached, but it goes back to that whole concept of kind of like sharing one brain, one backbone,
right?
And sometimes being too loyal. Considering that NCW had ran in that building, they felt like, oh, Chikara's coming in to run our building. Like, no, we would be disrespecting JC if we worked on that show. Well, this is a fucking profession,
right?
You know what I mean? Like this is
Now,
is.
What did JC feel that way too, or was that just them?
JC felt too. Like JC was bullshit that they were running that building, which. Whatever, like that was on Steve Weiner, because apparently Steve Weiner suggested that building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't, if you're gonna punish anybody, punish Steve Weiner then. You know what I mean? Like fucking, but I'm sure Steve didn't think that way.
Right, he wasn't
Steve didn't
thinking
have
maliciously.
Yeah. But it's like, and maybe that's where it all fucking started, going downhill, because Doug and I decided to work the fucking show instead of fucking standing behind him, which this is a fucking business. Like, okay, you want to play in the fucking sand, fucking stay in NCW. You know what I mean? You want to fucking play in the playground, that's fine. You want to go out into the fucking real world, you need to fucking branch out, and you need to fucking put friendship and business on two different fucking levels.
We understand that because we wrestled for one place for a lot of years, and then we branched off, and guys like Scott Levesque branched off, Anthony Stone, Will Thorne, and we're the only ones that are still involved in wrestling. All those other guys have all stopped, or they still try, but they wrestle for places that have no fans.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I totally understand the need to branch off.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah. And that's what happened. And that was basically the whole feud between myself and the Minutemen, which in fact, if you noticed that match too, that was around the time too I still had heat with JT Dunn.
Because him and Amber. Right,
Yeah. And if you notice that match, I wasn't tagged in once. Which by the way, it makes no sense, but she took the fucking heat.
Yeah.
She took the fucking heat, which
Right.
I don't remember who suggested that, but it was the dumbest fucking idea. But she took the fucking
She was
heat.
also involved in the finish, right? Wasn't she?
Yeah.
She won, didn't she? I think.
I think so.
I'm not 100% sure, but I
Yeah.
feel like she was involved in the finish for the
Yeah.
big thing at the end.
But if you notice that fucking tag match, I'm not in the ring with her once.
Right.
They made sure because
That
they
didn't happen.
thought I was gonna take liberties with her.
Start shooting on her, yeah.
Like I was gonna fucking shoot on a woman. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now that we got the Shikara stuff out of the way, I want to go from how do you transition from the gun photo we brought up a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
but you were normal Buddy Romano, like you were doing your thing, and then I feel like you started to push the envelope a little bit. You were going a little crazy.
Yeah.
There was the photos of you with a gun. The caption was like, "How crazy is Buddy Romano really?"
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
And was that you trying to find yourself, or like what was the deal with all that stuff? Was that when you were really losing it too, or
No, that was me. Because I'm one of the nicest guys in the world, and
right? I was gonna say every time we've met, we've always gotten along.
Yeah, and I'm very respectful and I'm courteous towards people, but there are times where like, you know, I get fucking crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like and when I get crazy, I fucking lose it.
Right.
So it was kind of like me trying to bring out that personality in me, almost to try something different.
Gotcha.
Because then I started doing the face mask gimmick.
Yeah. When you were wearing the
Yeah,
needle on your
which
face.
was started off as a legitimate injury.
I remember practicing with you at Top Rope, and you had the deal
because
because you
like,
really messed your face up, right?
Yeah, what happened was that like I had broken my nose several fucking times, and a lot of them
which happens in wrestling.
Well, no, it didn't have those original ones didn't have to do with wrestling. Those had to do with fights outside of in personal life.
Yeah.
So, but that face mask thing came along because I had gotten jumped in a parking lot by a fucking car full of dudes when I was out with this girl that I was seeing, and they broke my nose again.
Yeah.
And that fucking weekend, this was on I think a Wednesday or something. I don't remember what night it was, but it was like 3 days later. I was leaving to go to a fucking Ring of Honor tryout camp.
Okay.
So I'm like, what the fuck? I already paid my fucking admission.
Right. Yeah. I need. You're going.
So I ended up getting Vinny Abruzzi.
Okay.
He actually had that mask. And I was trying to I think I posted on Facebook. I'm trying to find a protective mask for my nose, blah, blah, blah. And he had that, and he's like, I don't use it anymore. He's like, do you want it? So I'm like, yeah. So I met up with him. I think I bought it off him like
whatever it is,
$10, something like that. And I used
an $80 mask.
Yeah, those things aren't cheap. Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. But he had no use for it anymore.
When he tore his ACL, how much was your knee brace? Like $600, something crazy like that.
That was crazy.
Yeah, they'll fucking rape you.
Afford the special knee pad that they wanted to hook me up.
The little add-ons they want to throw.
Yeah, they rape you when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, so I bought it off of Vinny Abruzzi because I knew I was going to that Ring of Honor tryout camp that weekend, just as protection. And then I started using it, I think I used it in one more match or something like that, just to be on the safe side. And I was gonna lose it, but then somebody fucking told me oh, that mask is pretty fucking badass.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what, maybe I could use it because I remember when the Horsemen beat up Ricky Morton back in the 80s. Ricky Morton had to wear that face mask for a while because his face was all messed up, his nose was broken. So I thought to myself too, it does look badass, but at the same time too, I could use it as a chicken shit heel.
Yeah, the heel heat.
You know what I mean? The heel, exactly. So
I'm sure it drove little kids nuts.
Yeah.
Thing.
And eventually we would work it against me to where they would pull back the mask and it would snap back in my face, or eventually it would just come off during a match one time, and it was only really any big matches. So I was doing that. And it was around that time where I was just trying to bring out like almost like a crazy persona, which it got a lot of attention. I'll tell you that. Some negative, some positive. I think Doug even wrote it too, like put that gun away before somebody calls the cops, something like that. Like Doug knew what was going on. I mean, it was just to grab some attention.
And it for sure did. I feel like he got pretty stirred up at that point.
Oh yeah. I mean, I took some heat for it, but any publicity is good publicity,
right.
Whether or not it's positive or negative.
Now did that led to the obviously you trying to find something in yourself that was different and push forward, and it became the Beautiful Buddy stuff first, right?
Yeah, and that I kind of scrambled around for a little bit, and then the way the Beautiful Buddy thing came across was there was an APW show, and I didn't start working for them yet, but what happened was, I guess Danny Miles had gotten a concussion.
Okay.
And so Danny Miles was going to be out. They needed another person to fill in for the 4-man tag team. And they were kicking Justin Silence out.
Okay.
That same night.
Out of the group or out of APW?
Out of the group.
Okay.
They were going to do something different with him because he just didn't gel. He didn't fit well or whatever.
Do you know who Justin Silence is? No. Big, from the CWA days, big, tall, juggalo kid.
Beard.
Giant-ass beard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I just wanted to...
I think he worked for NCW a few times,
probably,
too.
yeah.
So they were looking for somebody, and Pava actually was like, I had just gotten my pink Romano trunks made,
okay, yeah.
my custom-made trunks, and they wear pink, they do the whole pinkies up thing, and Pava was like, oh, what about Buddy Romano? He just got new trunks made, blah, blah, blah. What about him filling in? And they were familiar with me. They saw some of my work.
Right.
So they were like, yeah. So
bring him in and see how it works.
Yeah. So I was brought in for that, and as part of the group, as a fill-in. And then in commentary, Pava was actually in commentary for part of that show before we even went out there. I think he was with Ed Hunt at the time. On commentary, and he's like, yeah, you know, something about like, wait till you see our newest member of the Glamorous Ones, Buddy Romano, beautiful Buddy Romano. Like he must have just said it just like that. And I'm like, you know what? That works.
Yeah, that works.
Because you know what too? Like, I've always been a huge fan of Beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So you know
Buddy,
what?
just right in there, right.
I mean, perfect. And it just kind of stuck. And they used me that one show. And I think they used me one other time, but it was like an 8-month span, like
between the two shots,
between the two shows. And then once they saw that there was actually good chemistry between myself, Joe Moakley, Mike, and Danny Miles, they were like, okay, we're gonna use Buddy full time. So that's how the Beautiful Buddy thing came along, and I just kind of made it my own too, like with the strut and everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of a mixture between fucking, Michael Hayes and, fucking Flair. Or,
Buddy Rogers.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Just a lot of that old school.
Yeah, just kind of like...
flamboyant, Gorgeous George kind of jive.
Yeah, gotcha. You know what I mean? Like I kind of, almost like a jive, I kind of
gotcha,
do. Not so much of a strut, but kind of a jive.
Just the way that you,
Yeah. So I kind of made it my own, like, tweaked around with certain things, started wearing the furs and everything like that, so, no, that's the way Beautiful Buddy came along.
And that's obviously the precursor for Ramona. I mean, just kind of that flamboyant style.
Yes. You know why? Because I started getting comfortable with because we did like a feminine gimmick without coming out and saying we're super gay or super feminine.
But, yeah, I know
you know
what
you're
saying. Like the kids from the Middlesex Express do that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Now. Like they're not gay. They might be gay.
Yeah.
But, it's 2016. There's nothing wrong with that.
And we did a lot of that. Like, I get hit in the face. I crawl over to Mike and hug.
Yeah.
Like we did a lot of that stuff. So we were like, we were doing that. Mike, myself, Danny. We were doing some 6-man tags too. And at that time too, they had brought in Dan Terry and Michael Millet
doing the fitness deal.
Yeah, they were what the hell?
Mullet. I always call them
They
mullet.
were oh god, what the hell? Oh, they were called Glam.
Okay.
So we were the glamorous ones, and then they named them Glam.
We wrestled them as Glam before
Yes.
for Showcase.
Yeah, because they were the what was it? The good-looking
athletic men. Yeah.
So like, meanwhile, in my
They,
head,
initially, they were they wanted to be the fun athletic guys.
yeah.
Which was already Rob Feinstein back in the day, like JAPW, Jersey All Pro.
Yeah.
Feinstein did the fun athletic guy shtick
Yeah.
there too. But yeah, I just want to. And they became Glam after they were the fun athletic.
Which
you guys can figure out what the fun athletic guys thing means.
Yeah.
Listen.
So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we're the glamorous ones. They're Glam. Why? And they
why
have,
is this happening?
And they almost have the same type of persona as we do. So
Right.
I'm like, what are we doing here? Like what's going on? Like, and they're like, oh well, you guys are gonna be more like. You guys are gonna be more of like almost like upscale rich guys. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna kind of change your gimmick a little bit. You're still gonna have almost like the flamboyant style,
but it's right.
not as much as they. So I'm thinking to myself, you're giving our gimmick
To
to somebody
right.
else.
You're letting them come in and do.
Yeah,
do it,
I was confused, but So, what the fuck was the point I was trying to make now?
We were going towards Ramona. We were.
Oh yes. So I'm seeing all this going on, and I'm seeing around New England that more and more people are doing the flamboyant gimmicks.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God. I'm like, I need to fucking do something different. And I actually went on a ballet dancing site because I was looking for like leotards.
Okay.
And I come across this thing, and it's the one that Ramona debuted in. Like I had a pink one, and I ended up getting the blue one.
Right.
Where it's almost like a shark bite takes a bite out of the stomach of the material type deal.
Yeah,
where it's like
yeah.
the material on the stomach is cut out, and then you have one long sleeve and then one short sleeve. And it kind of goes over the chest to where you could put a bra underneath and that whole deal.
Like almost Butcher style, right? Over the
Yeah. I mean, you obviously seen it before.
Right, yeah.
But it looks like something Lady Gaga or like Shakira. I think Shakira actually did wear something like that in one of her music videos one time.
Now, this is a random fun fact. The time that we wrestled you and Mike Pava, you guys came out to that Lady Gaga song.
Yes.
And I had never heard it before, the song. Except for Kevin Smith singing it in one of his Evening with Kevin Smith documentaries.
Oh, really?
And I told you guys that, and you looked at me like I was insane. Like, and you didn't believe me. Like,
Really?
you guys, what are you talking about? How did you not hear that song? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like,
Yeah, because
I've never even heard that song before.
Was it Poker Face?
No, it was Bad Romance.
Yeah, that one, right?
Yeah, which became Ramona's theme.
Okay, yeah. I heard Kevin Smith talking about that in one of his. I'm trying to think of which one it was. Kevin Smith Goes to Hell, and the Westboro Baptist Church was picketing his movie premieres, and his fans were picketing back, and they were chanting like God hates fags, or like whatever their deal is, and the Kevin Smith fans were like singing back the ooh rah rah to that back to them, and that's how I knew that song.
Yeah.
And I told you guys that, and you looked at me like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Because we wrestled like a couple of years ago and had already been out for like 5 years at that
right,
point.
yeah, I'm oblivious, dude.
That's fine. I mean, that's like I listen to everything, so that's why I pretty much know, like, I can, sometimes I don't know who sings it, but that's that song, blah, blah, blah.
I could not name to you one person that's on the radio right now. Like,
Really?
Zero. I don't even know when the last time I listened to an actual radio.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I keep it like, all the old music that I like. I pretty much just keep on that, and, right, for sure. But yeah, like I remember, I enjoyed wrestling you guys.
Can you handle one? Can you handle another one?
You good? Can you take one? You might have to go somewhere. Eventually, you might have to leave. It feels like if he has another one, he might end up staying here for the night. But I found you guys super entertaining. Like, you guys had your shtick down like that. I enjoyed.
Yeah, no, it was very entertaining, and like, like I said, when I came to that point where I knew I had to change something up, like I was looking around for like a new outfit, and I came across that leotard, and I'm like, wow, that's super gay, super gay.
Right.
You knew that would start some heat.
Oh yeah. And,
so
and
my question is, at first you started with the leotard, but eventually you started wearing the bras and all that. Did you catch any backlash? Well, obviously the fans, that's good heat, but
yeah.
Did you catch any backlash for some of the boys?
Not the boys. No, like some of them looked at me like, dude, you're fucking crazy.
Like, yeah, you're pushing the limit here.
But there were some promoters that wanted nothing to do with me. Simply because I don't know if they thought like I was out there going out there and finger fucking myself.
Right, yeah, doing whatever the weird thing
you know
doing.
what I mean?
Contrary to popular belief, the boys in pro wrestling are relatively accepted.
Yeah.
Except to weird, if you're gay, whatever, nobody really gives a shit at all, right? You know what I mean? But the fans, on the other hand, little kids are quick to call you every name in the book.
Yeah, I've had like 10-year-olds be like
giving you the finger.
You're a faggot, and I'm like, where are your fucking?
How do you
parents
know that word?
Yeah. Where are your fucking parents right now, kid?
Probably sitting right on the side of them.
Yeah,
there you
call
go,
me
kid.
a faggot too. Yeah, but it started off as me wearing that outfit as beautiful Buddy Romano.
Okay.
And then as time went on, like I was doing the makeup and everything too. Like I think I just did like the blush and
little foundation. Eyeshadow maybe.
No, I wasn't even doing that. I think I was just doing the blush and maybe like the lipstick.
Okay.
Wasn't even wearing a bra at that point. Just had like my nips exposed through the mesh. And then eventually I'm thinking to myself, it started off as like a gay character. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute, like this, like what about, and I started thinking back to like Lady Gaga and Shakira.
Right.
Because I did actually, after I had purchased that, I did see, I don't remember what video it was, but it was a Shakira video where she was actually wearing that. And it got me to thinking like,
hips don't lie, lady, right?
Yeah. They don't lie either.
Believe that. Sorry.
But like I said, at that time, everyone was doing the flamboyant and gay gimmick, and I'm like, what can I do that's different? And I started thinking,
Right, everyone's doing the gay gimmick, but they're not taking it that next step.
yeah. So I just decided, like, why not just be a woman? Like, why not like, and leave it to the imagination of people. Like, still to this day, nobody knows what Ramona is.
Right.
Is Ramona
just a dude who wears chick clothes?
Yeah. Is it
straight?
Yeah.
Is he gay? What's the deal?
Is it just an ugly fucking woman?
Right.
That has a buzz cut and just wears a wig to the ring? Nobody fucking knows.
Right.
And I never
Or
revealed.
is it Buddy Romano playing mind games with his opponents?
Yeah.
Right.
I never revealed exactly what I was. And, I started doing that, and I think I might have suggested, I don't remember what came first, but I remember talking to Bob at one point. Maybe it's when I started doing it, and maybe I was still called Beautiful Buddy Romano, but,
Yeah.
but I decided like, blah, blah, blah. I'm still gonna keep the name, but I'm gonna dress like this. And, I think it was, I don't remember if I started wearing the wigs or not, but, I had a conversation with Bob Evans, and
But you were pretty close to the full Ramona.
I was pretty close
Ramona
to that.
character.
Yeah, pretty close to it. And he suggested like you should stop being called Beautiful Buddy. Like, don't be called Buddy Romano anymore. Why don't you just change your name to Ramona? And I'm like, once again, Bob.
Yeah,
like,
damn Bob just coming at you with
Bob
names,
coming
dog.
up with these fucking names. And I didn't like just Ramona.
Right.
I wanted to keep the Romano aspect around. So I started thinking, and in that same conversation, it just came to me. I'm like, what about the goddess of beauty, Ramona Romano? And he's like, that works too.
Yeah, great.
So I just ran with it. And at that point, I started using like shitty Halloween wigs.
Right, yeah.
But then I knew
Bright colors and stuff like that, yeah.
But then I knew, eventually I needed to step up my game and, because people started noticing it, whether it was good or bad attention.
Right, people were talking about it.
Yeah.
I remember even some of the boys were like, what the hell's going on with Buddy?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, some of them were just like, whatever, but some of them actually questioned, what
the hell is he
what
doing?
was really going on. But and then I eventually I realized like, okay, I need to put some money into this, so I started dropping, you know,
A little bit of coin.
yeah, like the wigs that I have,
Expensive.
they're $50 a
Yeah, I was
pop.
gonna say, wigs ain't cheap, though.
Yeah, yeah. So I started, and actually the woman that I go through, her name is Tracy Lugo Bills,
Okay.
and she
Free
actually-
wig plug, Tracy.
Yeah, no, she I can't even remember the name of her salon. She works in a salon. I can't even remember.
Look her up
I'm
on Facebook, folks.
Yeah,
You can find her.
I'm sorry, Tracy, but she actually is a fan of NCW. She attends. She lives
that's cool,
in
yeah.
Norwood. She goes to all. She's been going to all the shows for years.
So she was already a fan.
She was already a fan, and I had already been friends with her. And I think I might have put out the idea that I was looking for wigs or something, or maybe she saw the wig and said, I don't remember
Like,
exactly
hey,
how
you
it
have
went
this
down.
shitty Halloween wig. I
Yeah.
can get you some real ones.
Exactly, yeah, and she actually sent me like a lot of photos of like what some of the ideas you want, and I kind of sat down with her and like I kind of like this, I want this, and she'd be like, okay, it's gonna probably be about 3 weeks or 4 weeks to order, but you know it's gonna
Right.
probably be about this much,
Right.
And yeah, I got all my wigs through her, and that's basically how the whole Ramona thing came into play. Was that I just got tired of doing the flamboyant character and seeing all these other workers around me kind of doing the same gimmick.
Same thing, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I figured I need to, you know, step outside the box a little bit and do something different. And then it wasn't until a Lucky Pro Wrestling show that Davian, she was working the show and she's a sweetheart, and I
Yep.
always you know, talk to her at the shows and shoot the shit with her, and I was actually working with her that night. It was a 6-man tag. It was me, Mike Pava, and Nikki Valentine.
Okay.
Working with Vern Vicalo.
Was he Vern too dope then?
No, he wasn't Vern too dope.
Okay. Just curious.
Vern,
Vern's too dope. Vern don't smoke. Sorry. Continue.
Cam Zagami, and Davian.
Before he was John Cena's best friend.
Yes. Before he was a big reality
TV star.
And Davian was like, "Oh, like you should have like a bra or something." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have any." She's like, "I got extra ones in my bag. You want to borrow one?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I looked through a couple of her bras or whatever, and fucking just picked the fucking black one.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Like I'm not sure if the other one really fit me too well or something. I don't remember, but I'm like, and actually, like, it looked good.
Yeah.
And it was like,
And it added to the deal.
added to it, you know what I mean? Like I could work well in it. It didn't fucking matter, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
it
not like
wasn't
I was
hindering you at
restricted.
all,
Yeah.
right.
So from there, I just went out and bought my own fucking bras, and
Yeah.
That
That must be a weird you shopping in like the
it was kind of weird. Like I remember one time I picked up a bra at Target, and
you're like checking the size.
no, like
making sure holding it up to you.
Like I actually I would take them home and then try them on and I
Right,
would
if they didn't
get
work,
the
return.
closest one. Yeah, just return them.
Yeah.
But like I remember one time I knew the size that
As I
I
said, what was
needed.
your bra size?
Oh God, was it 36C?
36Cs. All right.
Something like
That ain't bad. That ain't
Well,
bad.
well, because I'm not a woman, so
Right, yeah,
my
yeah.
shoulders are wide.
Right, yeah. It's gonna go longer and stuff, obviously.
So yeah, I mean, like 36C is
Now,
fucking-
I'm picturing it like Seinfeld style. You're in there like trying the bras on, and somebody opens the front door and sees
Oh, that
you.
would have been great. That would have been great.
Like that kind of deal. That's what I'm picturing right now in my head.
Like I was actually I was in Target and I picked up a bra and then I was picking up some makeup too. And I go up to the register and the guy goes, "Oh, you're gonna look fabulous in this." And I felt like saying, like, little do
dude,
you know,
you
it
have
is-
no
it is-
idea, dog.
it is for me. Like,
like you don't even know.
you know, like. But yeah, no, it was a little awkward sometimes, like browsing around the makeup section.
yeah, for sure.
You know, just kind of being like, oh, I kind of like that, but I got all these women.
Yeah,
looking
who's
at
looking
me.
at me right now? Why are they?
Yeah.
But I feel like after you started doing the Ramona thing, that's bookings. I feel like you were
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you were working for a lot of different places.
Well, I kind of put myself out there too, because before I was, you know, what I mean, I wouldn't be as adamant about, you know, messaging promoters and whatnot.
right? Yeah, I'm still
I was-
kind of like that. I'm like,
I mean,
if a promoter doesn't message me, like I'm good. Like I won't work your show. That's fine.
Yeah, you got to kind of put yourself out there sometimes,
Yeah.
and then like once I saw that it was starting,
you get to this point though where you are working enough places on the regular where you just kind of you're like, no, I'm good. Like I don't have to reach out and go anywhere.
At that point, no.
Okay.
I still had to kind of reach out. Eventually, it kind of got to the point, like the past couple of years, it's gotten to the point where I really don't reach out to anybody. But I also became very lax too the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But no, I was reaching out. Like I had reached out to Mike Lombardi from NEW.
Yeah.
Wanted nothing to do with it.
No, just
nothing to do with it. Sheldon wanted nothing to do with it at first too.
Right.
And it wasn't until we debuted as the Glamour Express and he got to know me well, and then he started to actually see the gimmick, and a lot of people were telling him.
I'm sure people look at it the wrong way at first.
If they don't see it, they don't understand it. That's the thing. It's
for sure something that you have to watch you do.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the success has to do with the fact that like I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself.
Right, and you can't be when you're a heel.
Yeah, and well, even as a babyface too. Like I like to joke around a lot. Like I love having fun. I love joking around. That's my personality. That's why the whole crazy gimmick didn't work, because I'm crazy at times, but
that's just not at times.
That's not
something
me.
that you're able to reach into all the time.
You know what I mean? Like I have no problem making a fool out of myself and being the ass of the joke. You know what I mean? So like this gimmick kind of fit me perfectly because it was very, very different, and I was able to showcase my personality,
go outside your comfort zone.
Yes, and prove to people that I can go outside my comfort zone and be versatile.
Right.
And also give me more of an opportunity to do promos, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I know it got a lot of attention, got a lot of bookings because of it. I was almost on every single Lucky Pro Wrestling show.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just got a lot of attention. You just run with it at that point.
Now, buddy, we're closing in on 3 hours. I don't know if you realize that or not. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we're at 2:50 right now.
Holy shit.
Now, I'm not trying to cut you short or anything like that. Is there anything that you want to say to anyone? Any stories that you want to get out that you feel like that you didn't get out yet? Or
one thing I want to touch upon is I just mentioned Lucky Pro Wrestling, and I love Chris and Jim who run Lucky Pro Wrestling, and they they've done a lot for me, and I appreciate everything they've done. And this isn't this is not knocking them whatsoever, but it's just almost like a critique. I had a good run there, and if you go back and look at the shows, the majority of their audience are little kids, and you listen to the pops that I got when Romano went out there. I was getting Anthony Green pops.
Right.
I was getting Christian Casanova pops. I was getting Cam Zagami pops.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, I was never featured on any posters. I was never
you were an integral part of the promotion.
I think so. I think I drew enough to. Never mind. I mean, it's just, I'm not knocking guys like Brian Fury,
right.
All right? But Brian Fury's, the Brian Furies were on the shows, those guys, those pure wrestlers or whatever, and the fans got a great match with them, and they got, they got their money's worth.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is,
little kids don't know the difference between
exactly.
that.
When they're leaving the show that night, do you think they're going to remember all these spots that Brian Fury,
the grapple fest that somebody put on,
and whoever else did, or are they going to remember the guy who was dressed as a girl, doing funny spots,
yeah, right, throwing glitter at him or whatever,
you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I just felt like, and towards the end too, like the last show that I did for them.
Did you guys ever throw a handful of glitter in somebody's face?
No,
instead of the handful of powder.
No, we should have though. We did hand out lollipops though.
That's pretty fun. Okay,
but
handful of glitter though. They're like
that's
great.
That the hindsight's 20/20.
Right? Yeah. Anybody doing an over the top similar gimmick to what Buddy was doing a few years ago out there? Handful of glitter. Just make sure you credit me when you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and like I think the last show that I worked for them, I was involved in an all women's battle royal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, you know what I mean? It's a great fucking idea, you know what I mean? And then I'm told, you're the first one out. I was the last one as far as entrance wise.
Yeah.
All right, biggest fucking pop.
Right.
All right. I'm the first one out, so I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, they're gonna be fucking pissed.
Right.
They're gonna be fucking pissed. Number two, all the girls are great. They're great. They're all sweet girls and everything.
Yeah.
I'm the more experienced out of all of them.
Everybody.
Don't you want that ring general in there
to direct traffic?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm told I'm going out first. Toxis is throwing me out, which I have no problem. I love her to death. I've worked with her a ton of times. I said, okay, if she's throwing me out, make sure she gets her fucking heat because they're gonna fucking hate her when she throws me out. Yeah. No problem. Go in there. Exactly what I said. I'm the first one eliminated. They fucking boo.
Right.
They fucking boo. And then she gets a little bit of heat on some of the girls, and then
she's out.
And then she's out. She's thrown out.
So.
And I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Wasted opportunity.
Wasted opportunity. You know what I mean? Like have her eliminate most of the fucking girls in there.
Right.
Then even if you have to have it come,
especially since she eliminated the dude in the match. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? So it was just stuff
like you said.
that.
Like you said, hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had an idea of what the match they wanted,
but those are the frustrations. Those are the things that led me to get out because I see all these things where certain guys and girls are, and there's always cliques. There's always,
of course, and
there's always
everywhere you go,
cliques going on, and it's just like, okay, like I'm getting the same reaction as AG and Cam and Christian Casanova, and they're getting put in really good spots, and they're getting featured on the posters. And I'm not saying you have to put me in fucking great spots or whatever, but if I'm an asset to your company and I'm a
use you as such,
I'm a part of that draw, feature me. You know, put me in a better fucking spot. You know, don't just send me out there with the girls and have me get eliminated.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it's like
the frustrating part of wrestling that people don't get to see, like the fans don't get to see, all that jive and drama backstage, and I mean, not only does it take a toll on you physically, but wrestling for sure takes a toll on you mentally.
Yeah.
And do you feel like it was more of a mental thing that stopped you, that got you to stop wrestling, or I know your shoulder, the shoulder.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to touch on as well. I'll be really quick so we can wrap this up.
No, I mean, dude. No, are you okay? What's going on?
The shoulder thing. I actually hurt my shoulder back in September of 2014.
Okay.
Working with Kellen Thomas in NCW. And
it was check out the Kellen podcast on the Mackcast. I think it's episode.
There you go.
Check it out.
Cheap plug. But yeah, no. I landed on my shoulder wrong. It was all me. I knew immediately something was wrong. And Kellen came back. I believe Kellen came back and apologized. I'm like, no, dude, it was me. I worked with this fucking shoulder for almost 2 years.
Which is a messed up.
Yeah. I was just like at times it was really bad. At times it was all right. Like I could deal with it. So if anybody doubts the lack of toughness,
right,
when it comes to Buddy Romano, like suck my dick, because like this is something I put up with for fucking 2 years, and it just got to the point where I was in constant pain. I was frustrated with some things that were going on and the positions that I was put in. Saw other people getting opportunities that possibly I should have fucking had.
Right.
Just saw the way the fucking business was going, like all this fucking spotty shit, and it's become almost like a fucking like an anime fucking.
Well, do you see that was it Will Ospreay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ricochet. Yeah.
Isn't Ricochet the guy who was on Tosh.0 doing like the double shooting star press and like landed on his dome piece or something?
No, wasn't that you mean for the Beyond show, right?
I think it was a Beyond show. Yeah,
I think that was
at the Varnum Memorial Armory or whatever.
That's was it Shinrai?
Oh, Shinron.
Okay,
it was him.
Yeah, that was
World's Dumbest.
It was on the World's Dumbest too.
Yeah. Which
Drew just selling that footage to everybody? How does that work?
I must have been, yeah.
I think I would. Man, he wrestles still though, so it's a little different. But if like Homeboy would have retired or had to quit wrestling because he broke his neck, which is what it looks like in that video.
Yeah,
I don't think I would consciously be able to sell that footage to make money off of it.
He's a whore.
But I'm not saying that.
Drew there was a whore.
Homeboy's wrestling again, so it's okay to me. Like that makes it okay.
You know, but going back to that match, I mean that match. If you want to, and believe me, I respect those guys. They're very talented. But if you want to, audition for, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey,
circus,
that's the best audition tape you could send. But as far as a wrestling match, those guys,
Vader shit all over it, right? Wasn't there there was like a whole thing? Will Ospreay and Ricochet, Vader was like tweeting back and forth with them.
They didn't. I don't think. I can't remember how many times they've attempted to pin each other. Like that's the whole concept of a wrestling match: is you want to beat the other opponent.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The point is to win, and if you're not attempting to pin the guy, how could you win?
And why would you do any of those things in a real fight anyway?
I watched that opening spot. Like the whole series of everybody flipping and doing all that jive, and I mean, it's for sure entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
and it's like I can't do any of that. I can't.
But it's not wrestling,
right? Now, and you say the point is you're in a fight, you're in a point. I grew when I was in high school. There were these two kids who used to do capoeira all the time. The dance fight.
Yeah.
And they used to practice at lunch all the time. And one day they got into a fight over a girl. And me and all my friends are sitting at the lunch table with our hands on our chins like, ooh, what's going to happen? Like, we're going to watch this capoeira. They're going to have this amazing, and when they fought in real life, it was just hair grabbing and punching. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what a real fight is. Like, that's the deal.
That's the way
Nobody was throwing the fancy double spin kick, capoeira kicks in the lunchroom. They were punching each other in the face.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do in a real fight. That's what wrestling was all about before until
just rough and tumble, gritty, just bah.
Yeah, we just I don't know. I don't know what happened or what changed. But
was it wrestling or was it the world? Is the world softer? I feel like the world got soft.
Yeah, the world is fucking pussies now too. But I don't know. It's just like I don't know. I look at some of the. That's why I hate Beyond so much because I feel
like you didn't straight up say that before, but now you're just like
I don't like the product, and I think the workers are fantastic.
Right.
I just think the style of wrestling, just that whole thing, like I brought up earlier with Brian Fury getting a fucking spin kick to the fucking jaw,
right,
and then taking the German suplex and fucking back in the day when you hit somebody with a fucking finishing maneuver, you didn't fucking kick. Now you see like people kicking out of their fucking finishes all the time.
Right? Yeah.
It doesn't mean shit.
False
anymore.
Finishes are a thing.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just, but. Getting back to the whole fucking shoulder thing, like it's just, I worked with it for 2 years, like the frustration of being in pain, just seeing the direction that the business is going in, just the whole clicky thing, my personal life, it got to the point
it all
where,
just led to
the
final straw kind of thing.
I was doing a lot of stuff around my house, projects and stuff, and it got to the point where when I had to leave my home to go to a show, I'd be driving to the shows and I'd be like, why am I, like, I don't even feel like doing this. Like, why am I doing this?
Right. There was no, not enjoyment, but you weren't achieving what you want to do. Like, you could have been getting so much more. You weren't being as productive as you wanted to be.
Yeah. Like, and once I got to the shows, I was fine. I had fun, but it wasn't the same. Like,
right.
I wasn't having as much fun as I did before. And you know what? Maybe it has to do with the traumatic experience I went through in my personal life. I mean,
right.
Sometimes traumatic experience changes you as a person.
For sure.
I think it has changed me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's affected me, as far as, wrestling goes too as well. I mean, right now I'm scheduled to go in on September 16th for my surgery.
Yep. Now what is the actual, is it rotator cuff?
Torn rotator cuff, yeah.
I tore my rotator cuff in October. And I did a whole bunch of rehab and all that jive, and my shoulder is just not.
Yeah, I jumped through hoops with them. They sent me to physical therapy, but they also sent me after they gave me a cortisone shot. So I wasn't feeling anything.
You were
so,
like, hey, this is great.
So, And then once that cortisone shot wore off, I was fucking hurt.
Miserable. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then working with it for 2 years, I did more damage. And the doctor said, for somebody my age, this is the worst he's seen it in somebody my age.
Jesus.
So, he said, you definitely need to go in and get it repaired. They're saying 4 to 6 months for rehab time. Depends on how it goes. I've already had people asking me, when you coming back? When you coming back?
Yeah.
One thing I could say is I never say never.
Right. But right now it's not looking likely.
Not looking likely, but if I rehab my shoulder basically I don't need to do this.
Right.
Like the timing would have to be right, the opportunity would have to be right, and judging from my past, the money would have to be right this time. Because I'm a guy who never fussed about money before, and when I'm out there, granted he's putting on a better match than I am.
Yeah.
I'm not picking on Brian Fury.
Yeah.
All right. He's putting on a much better match than I am out there because he's phenomenal. But when I'm getting bigger pops than a Brian Fury, or getting just as many,
Mine should at least be.
I should be getting close to Brian Fury money.
Yeah, I know you said.
I never griped about money before, but now it's got to be on my terms now because I don't need this.
Right, it's not.
I don't need to come back. So like I'm gonna be adamant. Like now, like you've seen what I can do. You've seen what I can provide for your company, for your show, for the product in general. Like take it or leave it. That's
right.
The way it is. You know. So and I'm not being a prick. I'm just like. I was a super nice guy for so many years and probably should have asked for more fucking money. But I never did because I was always a team player. Now that I don't need this and I don't need to come back.
Right. They got to come correct with that money.
Exactly. And just you know, put me in the right spot that I fucking deserve. I'm not saying I have to fucking be the main event, but if I'm a drawer on your fucking show and I'm getting, you know, fucking reactions as your top fucking baby
as the
face,
names, the indie names you have on the show.
Put me on a fucking poster,
right?
At least once in a while, at least once, you know.
So, buddy, do you have any advice to any of the kids that are training right now or want to train? Or
get out of the business.
Get out. Yeah, that's no. QTB kid, quit the business.
That's likely advice from most of our people that we have on the Maccast. They're like, no, just don't do it at all.
Yeah, the only thing I could honestly say is don't fall into the trap of, you know, what you see on TV. As much as I respect those guys, like it's garbage. Like it's not what we grew up watching. It's not professional wrestling. It's entertainment. That's it. And professional wrestling's never going to come back. Like the toothpaste is out of the tube. Like you can't put it back in. That's it. Like everything's been fucking revealed. Yeah, it's out. But be yourself. Like don't let people walk all over you. Work hard.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta like. Don't try and be something you're not. You know, don't try and be crazy Buddy Romano when you don't have crazy Buddy Romano inside of you. Right. Be fun-loving, fucking wacky Romano. Right. You know what I mean? It's just be who you are.
Find your shtick and stick to it. Like,
exactly.
Find out who you are and push it.
Yeah.
And you gotta have fun too.
Oh, absolutely.
The burden that you're bearing has to be worth it.
Yeah. The punishment that you're putting your body through is going to be at least worth the feeling you get.
Oh yeah.
Because look, man, there are some people out there making a real good living off of indie wrestling, right? Not too many, but there are some. For the most part, the paydays that you're getting range, and this is going to be from $20 to $100 for a shot, depending on who you are and where you're working. And I don't think that $40 you make or $50 you make that night is worth the punishment you're putting your body through when you look at it, 20 years later. Yeah. But the feelings you get going through the curtain with that crowd is basically what you're getting paid with.
And that's why I took the money that I got paid because I was having fun. The moment I stopped having fun, and I said this years ago, the moment I stopped having fun, that's when I'm getting out.
Right.
And when I started to realize I wasn't having fun anymore, that's when the whole money thing started to like register with me. Like, listen, I'm fucking out there, and I'm putting on a hell of a fucking show. Not particularly, it's not going to be fucking 5-star matches,
Right.
But
entertainment.
You know what I mean? And like I'm doing it for this. I'm driving fucking 2.5 hours for this. Like,
right.
It's kind of like, okay, like I've been around long enough to where I'm not just some fucking jabroni that you can just hand fucking $20 or $30
right.
to. Like I think I deserve a little bit more. And the more you give me, the more I will put into the fucking product too. Not that I didn't put more into it as it is, but
no, I know what you're saying. A happy associate makes for a better company. Buddy, dude, I've had a great time talking. We're over three hours at this point.
Time just flew by.
It flew by mega quick, but for real, dude, thank you for coming down. This is something that we've been trying to, like I said, we're trying to put together forever. I hope that you felt a little catharsis. You got some stuff off your chest.
Oh yeah, I got a lot off my chest, and I appreciate the time.
I had a grand time. It really flew by so much that I got drunk off French wine and then sobered up by the end of it. I'm completely sober now.
I don't believe that second part, but for sure you definitely got drunk during the first part of the podcast.
It flew by so quick, your head's spinning now.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you want to throw out there? Any shout outs or fuck yous that you want to send to anybody?
No, I just
we did all too many FUs. We're not allowed that one anymore.
No, I just want to thank you guys for letting me come in here and speak my mind.
If you want to come down and do this again sometime, maybe
absolutely.
critique a pay-per-view or something.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
want to try to stop banging these podcasts out a little more often. Than,
I'm down. I'm down.
But yeah, man, thank you tons. We had a great time. Like I said, next week we got Steve the Turtle Weiner, which I'm sure he'll have somebody Romano stories himself.
You guys will have a blast.
Yeah,
with him.
there's a
he's gonna be high energy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Always.
He was talking about bringing the pantyhose video that turned him into a pantyhose. Right? Yeah, we're gonna get real weird on that. Yeah, folks, we're gonna get real weird on that Steve Weiner podcast next week. So if you want to hear about weird fetishes and politics and pro wrestling, next episode is for sure the one for you.
Shut up!
Yeah, shut up, guys. Thank you, Steve. But thank you, buddy. It was a great time, man. I really enjoyed it. Is there anything you want to plug? Like, you have a YouTube page with your old videos on it people can check out? Or
nothing really that I need to plug.
All right, cool. There's some House of Bricks episodes where we wrestled them.
Just check out my Facebook page and my Instagram page.
Plug. I don't know what the address is on them.
Instagram is Instagram 1983. Facebook page. If you guys know me, you know my real name. So
yeah, look that up.
Yeah.
But check on Buddy. Hopefully, man, I hope your surgery goes as planned and everything goes well. You're leaning. I hope it's more towards the 4-month recovery than the 6. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Hope that all goes well.
Monster Maniacs, thanks for listening to the Mackcast. We're filling you in on the fill-in. And just want to say monstermac.net and keep an eye out for the Monster Mac show. New episode coming out soon.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
And a good night to you, Trainee.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
All right, thanks.
Shut up. I'm trying to say goodbye.